you don't. She said you don't need man. She reminds me of she said like Victoria. Well, no, she reminds me of Victoria, and just like the way she's just completely out of touch. Is that what your impression?
Completely. It was the Victoria one, 2.0.
Yeah. Oh, the old Victoria with the I worked for 3 presidents, and I was in the situation rooms with all of them. Yeah.
Dude, that lady was something. I couldn't believe what I was hearing from that lady. That was weird.
Yeah, she was pretty militant.
She's a medical doctor, Victoria is. Yeah, she's like super fucking autistic. She's a medical doctor, works in DC. And I guess she had advised the president with a group of other people.
Not a medical doctor, babe.
No, that's what she claimed. That's what she claimed.
She was CIA.
In the medical field.
Intelligence.
Oh, really?
I thought intelligence, you have to get, there's an approval you have to get to even, to give depending on which job it is, to even say that you had that job.
Yes. Well, you can say.
Somebody was breaking it down online. Somebody who actually, wasn't forget, but he the people that work in the clandestine division.
Well, I'm gonna go with. I know everybody's a millionaire, so I'm just gonna hold that one up there. But I doubt everybody's a millionaire and has sat between 3 administrations in the Situation Room, unless maybe you were serving coffee.
I've never, anybody on here is a big deal. I'm used to that.
Remember how that came up? Were you in Roger's room?
Yeah, I was in my Roger's room when she said it.
Right. And she was talking about how Trump hit on her. So she kept saying that she knows him. So we kept asking, how do you know him? And then that's when she said that.
In the Situation Room. That's great.
And then we asked her how did he hit on her, and she's like, well, he just made me feel uncomfortable.
Yep. Bunch of liberal nut jobs.
Do you know? I mean, I don't want to be like pessimistic. Do you know how bimbos probably would just they would do stuff like Monica Lewinsky did?
I would have put more of on JFK, doing the Eiffel Tower with Marilyn Monroe in the Oval Office. I mean,
he was the sleaziest piece of shit.
Although I am going to give him props. I mean, you're the president of the nation. You tag team Marilyn Monroe on the executive desk. I mean, after that, you might as well shoot your brains out because there's nowhere else to go.
At the time, is that like they at least had. You had one Democrat who at least was banging Marilyn Monroe, a bunch of attractive women. Then you got some fat bitch that blew Bill Clinton.
Wasn't she hot though back in the day?
Not really. She's not like ugly. I mean,
she was kind of plain looking.
But Paula Jones wasn't that pretty. I mean, did you ever see the pictures of her?
To be fair, yeah.
Jennifer pretty.
Monroe, like Marilyn Monroe looked fucking frumpy and kind of disgusting.
No, she didn't. She was naturally.
Yeah,
she's naturally gorgeous.
She had like muffin top and shit. You're talking about when she was like in her early 20s. I'm talking about when she.
She's like she's one of those rare, like 1 in a few million looking women that just look.
Yeah, Marilyn was hot, dude. I don't care. Like, yeah, she was still gorgeous.
Yeah, the fact that you even have this, like, that's so stupid. You'd even come with that.
You wanted to see pictures of her when she was banging JFK? She had muffin top.
Who cares?
I will say Jackie Onassis was hot as hell too. I mean, he literally was sleeping with 2 of the hottest women in the fucking world at the time. I mean, shit. Jackie O was hot. I don't care what any of.
Swamp Doggy.
I think Jackie O's the most overrated female I've ever seen in my life. I think she's ugly. But I know I'm in the minority on this.
Dude, that swimsuit picture of her was hot. It was hot, dude. I don't care. She had I'm going to be honest, she had a beautiful ass, beautiful figure. It was just like, man. Ooh, but I like her, so.
I appreciate the ones that are like, I think were like really attractive and 60s, like, I mean, they're so much more naturally beautiful than like a lot of the ones you get today. They look like who are those women? They're not that good. I mean, they're good looking, but the Kardashians, you know, those types, they look so fucking plasticky.
Surgical enhancements, and I'm just like, dude, and Ozempic pills, like, it can't, Wegovy pills, I'm sorry, Wegovy pills, like, I can't, you're like, and then, I don't know.
Yo was handsome as hell.
But I mean, that's the thing, though, is like, you imagine you wake up next to like Marilyn Monroe, or like, who's it, like, there's like, who's that? God damn, I forgot her fucking name. It doesn't matter.
Think
But
about
yeah, there's a bunch of like Raquel Welch was.
Oh, yeah.
But but there's also a history. I mean, FDR died in his lover's arms. You know, like his mistress's arms. You know, it's not the first president to have a lover.
Yeah, but his wife was also had a lover too, and she was like the first,
That she had a lover.
like, lesbian first lady.
My dad was saying, like, back at the time when he was president, when Clinton was president, that I guess there was like a lot of rumors on in D.C. that Hillary Clinton, you know, switched. You know, she's a switch hitter as well.
Well, you know, like, Hillary was on she was like her from the Nixon case, and she was removed. And it was reported that she was willing to just like make up shit, and she was sent down, and then she was looking for a pathway, and she basically saw it and zeroed in on Bill Clinton and was targeting him. She was not really looked favorably upon Democrats, and in fact, they even said that woman would eat her own young to get ahead for her own sake.
It was Huma Abdi, whatever that chick that she was bullshitting with Pepe.
I was always wondering why she was with that fucking dork Anthony Weiner.
Yeah, that guy was.
Because he was chasing kids. Chasing kids.
You know, it's unfortunate. Like, if you would, Anthony Weiner would come on. He's clearly a liberal, but you would listen to him. I believe he'd come on Fox News. He'd come on other networks, and you'd hear him argue about topics. He's a really sharp guy. You just, you know.
I don't know. The left has some weird.
Self-destructed, you know, he completely
The left is so weird with who they champion behind. I mean, who's the creepy porn lawyer? Like, you remember when what was it? What's her
the
name?
one that yeah, what's it? Italian.
It's how
Yeah, and the next president, they were printing up like T-shirts and flyers. All of it. He's like, I'm going Trump, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah,
You never
you guys were sending them money.
You know that creepo?
There you go.
Dude, that guy had like a little lair where he locked the doors where the girls would come in. I don't know if you guys ever read that story about that dude. It's one of the creepiest stories I've ever read, actually. But
And they created the morning show kind of about him, you know.
it was totally around him. Yeah.
But I never. Was it a book about him that you read?
I don't know. I just remember reading pretty
Matt Lauer.
I'm just gonna say there's a room outside.
Predator.
So Matt Lauer, he was like you could tell he was kind of like a handsome guy, dark hair.
He lost his hair. Dark hair.
Yeah, now it's all.
Maybe I'm thinking of another person. I don't know.
He had a layer where he was like, this is what you see movies where the women would come in, like literally the bed would fold down, he would turn the lights off, and like, no, I'm not even kidding. It was like,
I think it's funny still. I still think it's funny.
What the fuck? But I think he got off or something. That's the other thing. I thought I was forward to see if he got sentenced or anything, but it was something like he got, you know, yeah, like something weird like that.
The Me Too movement, but when you looked at the Me Too movement, you were like, you ate your own. Like you got like all of the Me Too movement for all that talk about Trump. It was like all of your primary backed candidates that you thought were going to be great and they were anti-Trump. Again, turned out to be like, yeah, hey, by the way, we're going to do what we want.
Everybody's like, I've been hearing people talk about her. I personally am not into celebrity gossip. I never listened to it. But I heard some guys, and I have heard people mention Ellen DeGeneres before. Was there something that she actually did, or is it just like really?
Yeah, Brad, what were you going on about? I was confused.
She was
about that the other day.
trafficking all children that used to come on her show. Remember, it used to be so many.
Is that official?
Yeah,
Really, Jesse, I did not know this. What was this?
Yeah, what?
The story is she's in the Epstein files. She's one of the redacted names. It's a lot. That's why they don't want that shit to come out. It has nothing to do with Trump. Everyone's like, oh, they don't want it to come out because of Trump. Why the fuck would they protect Trump? Like, they wouldn't. So,
there's apparently
they're
there
protecting.
are things against him. Doesn't mean they're that like real or anything or credible.
Listen, you guys could say it's not credible. I don't care anymore. I'm tired of people asking for shit to be released, and when it's released, you're like, that's not real. Okay, well, I don't give a fuck anymore. You believe what you want.
This new
People act like they read any of the 3.5 million pages. I'm tired of it.
files, it's over.
I think the Viking did read 3.5 million pages. That's what
No, I'm on page 3,000.
Really?
I'm going through.
All you gotta do is pull up the fucking AI assistant.
Nope.
But
Well, if you guys take your time, what I was doing was like when I'm bored on here at night, I go on the PDF, type in different things, and it'll tell you like this appears 1,309 times. And you just go through them. It's a lot of emails though and correspondence. Also, there's a lot of redacted names of people that work for JP Morgan, Chase Bank. The Little St. James Island sued them because they said that Chase Bank was supposed to red flag Jeffrey Epstein's bank account because they knew he was sex trafficking, and they still allowed him to sex traffic and never closed his account. So all the bankers' names, all the financiers, all their names are redacted. Like, you could say that this stuff is incredible. It's very
Why would it
incredible.
matter? He's a
no one
wealthy man
gives a fuck.
that bumped shoulders with everybody. So like,
I heard
why would he
Abraham
care?
Lincoln.
Because he talked to people.
I heard Abraham Lincoln.
South Florida, right? So his account red flag. It's a, and you could, someone could correct me if I'm count.
Federal law on that with drug trafficking or human trafficking. Like even I know a lawyer that went to jail, lost his license because he took money from a client for fees that came, and he got caught.
I didn't know a lawyer could get in trouble for that.
You
Holy
can
shit.
get in trouble. You can't take money that's the source of the money.
Even if I lie and tell them.
You don't have to know.
Let me ask you a question, Abby. Hold on, let me ask you a question, Abby. So let's say I'm a prolific drug trafficker. Everybody knows it deep down, and I give my defense attorney like cash. I don't know, a couple $100,000. Would I? And he asked me like, oh, where'd you get this? And it's like, oh, don't worry about it. So I didn't tell him that was illegal.
Should've known.
Would he get in trouble?
Yeah, I mean,
Should've known.
should have known. I mean, there's I forget when that law came into play. Someone can Google it. It's in the last 30 years, maybe longer. So 30 to that came in. That can't be. I mean, and then if there's all the indicators that you should have known, that's the source of funds that is from drugs.
drug traffickers. Well, to be fair, drug traffickers, like even the cartels in Mexico, they all own like legitimate businesses. Like they're not private. They have to launder their money and shit.
Have the money laundering part of the business down, right? So
They got it.
getting cash out the backyard.
They got a $20 million laundry mat.
Yeah, or beauty salon, you know.
Anyone that's big, this hells any group that's making a lot of these great lengths to try to clean the money.
Shut the fuck up.
Right.
Don't care. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck
I
up.
mean, that's completely true because we have that. I mean, we have that in Vegas. If I tell you what you go through, because you get people come in with cash all the time, and we just had a big case in at one of the properties. The guy lost his license. I don't think he's doing any jail time. It was the president of the property, but it's very controlled because for that exact reason of the source of the funds.
Oh, Abby.
And,
You guys ever seen Ozark?
Abby, she
Yeah, they
Abby,
couldn't
did
spend
you
the
watch
money.
that video that I sent you in the back channel about the guy from Nevada?
But when it goes to,
Marine.
oh god,
Yeah, it was the Marine that had the $90,000.
Yeah, I did see that.
confiscated,
I
and he
did
had to
see
wait,
that.
like, almost a year or something to get the money back.
so they have.
That was wild.
Okay.
So they contact, just real quick, they contact the DEA, and the DEA is the one that actually seizes it, and then they give 80% of the proceeds back to the local state agents.
There are a lot of cops.
Good old Nevada.
A lot of when it comes to the forfeiture of what, and the bar is really low for what they consider. Is this? Did you make this money illegally? There's a lot of stories about people will save up money and they'll get caught traveling with like 10, 20 grand, and the cops back. Usually doesn't happen.
So wait, what's the?
But no, I did hear though that like if you are, especially like with the mafia, like the mafia, like if you were ever listed as like an associate or somebody who was involved with them whatsoever, like New Jersey and Nevada would immediately put you on exclusion list. Like they're not allowed to anywhere near a fucking
You
casino.
can't, but more in New Jersey, then it's hard to get on the list here. But Jersey for sure. In Jersey also, like there's all these restaurants you're not allowed to go to. There's restaurants in Jersey you can't go to, even in Manhattan, that are frequented by them. They're very, very strict about it. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole tracking of when you get a license. They just do a heavy investigation on all that you've been associated with. And if they can track money, transactions, or a relationship with people that that have been flagged, then yeah, you're not doing business.
When that, I forget is it, I don't know if it's Bugsy Siegel, is that one of the Jewish guys that was working
The
at
movie
Italian
Casino
was running
that
the
took
casino
place.
there.
So that's Lefty Rosenthal. And that was what minute is that? The 70s? I'm gonna say it was when Casino
It
took
still
place.
goes on right now.
So, but it was like the casinos.
It was
How much involvement did they have in casinos back then?
the mob.
Or-
Well,
It was a
Donald
mob.
Trump called this out in
Massive.
He said the Italian mob was acting like Indians so that they could run casinos tax free.
Yeah, that was just legitimate.
They're still doing it.
Yeah, they were like it was also used as like a money laundering operation.
Literally,
for the
yeah.
mob.
Huge, but now it's opposite. I mean, you can't go near it, and it's highly
Yeah,
restricted.
Vegas isn't
No, I know it is.
controlled anymore. They're like they buried them out in
They're out.
the desert.
They're out. But if you talk to people that grew up, this is an absolute true statement. I'd say 8 out of 10 people that you talk to that grew up here wish that the mob still controlled things.
Why?
They liked it better.
It's safer?
Because it just ran better. The city ran better. The casinos ran better. The performers liked it more. I mean, it's just different. Now it's corporate and
Disney
very
World,
controlled.
it's like I remember somebody talking about, we had the room, like Leaving Las Vegas was the title of it, and it was, these old timers were saying the changes that went on there, and they're like, all the high class is gone from there, they're not coming in, you'd have, some of these old timers were like saying, hey,
You talking about free?
well, not him, but a bunch of other guys that were older like him that were talking about Vegas back in the day. They weren't even mob connected. They were just saying it was a great place to work. The casinos took care of their staff really well. You made good money. You didn't have problems. You could afford a home. You could raise your family. They always took care of absolutely everything, and the crime was really low. Like crime didn't happen out there. Well, I mean, the mafia crime was like internal, but like people weren't getting robbed on the street, and
You would get fucking murdered.
correct. The mob was coming for you. But the state actually drove out the mafia. They thought they could be the big time gangsters, and they won. And now you've got fucking amusement park ride.
But it also speaks to the sleaziness of it. This is something that, like, a lot of people speak to. The Mormons are, in a way, they at least have a very good facade of being these really nice, wholesome people, which a lot of them are. But I mean, they were like corrupt, shitty fucking people. I mean, they were the one all this shit.
If I can find someone to come in rooms with us, like you just talk to people that lived through it, and they all say the same thing. They miss those days. Weird. They don't stun them up, but a lot of it changed also when Bobby Kennedy did those hearings here. When he was the Attorney General, it kind of started trying to unravel the mob that was here in the 60s.
It wasn't his family all fucking mobsters. Like,
And they ran booze, right?
yeah, they sure. But it's the so basically it's him wanting to. Never mind.
His issue was more of the unions, not so much the mob. I mean, they were part of it, but because they owned the unions, his issue was that his brother wanted to target the unions. And losing Cuba, that was a major fucking faux pas because the mob wanted to have casinos there. They were about to make Cuba into another Vegas, and it would have been beautiful, but they didn't fucking achieve that. And then, the union busting, that's how the mafia was able to move so much, move money, move cash, move goods. It kept a lot of guys in work. Like, granted, there was a lot of bullshit with it, but overall, he attacked the unions. That cost him. You can't go after an office.
I say this, I've said it in rooms before, there is a great museum here, mob museum. It's the whole history of them. And it's located in the courthouse that Bobby Kennedy has hearings in the old part of the city. And it just tracks, it tracks everything that happened here, but you name the city you're from in America and you can learn about the mob from your city. And it tracks mobsters throughout North America.
Arizona was only a retirement place for mobsters. So, like, you had big name ones, like really big name ones that lived here.
Capone was in Palm Springs. Did he go to Arizona also?
Not that I know, like Joseph and
Yeah, that's
exactly. There's several others, but it's but the only time you had heard about like mafia killings was basically tied to Vegas, and the perp was never like we didn't really have much of that.
These days.
We have athletes. The athletes are big players.
They're just
and we have, we have from Middle East. We still come in from Asia.
Can you hear me, Abby?
So, what perks did the big whales have?
Everything.
What kind of
Everything.
PIC?
Like, where do you want to begin? The jet that comes to So, or the limo picks you up to put.
At the top of the hotel and all like whatever your special fetishes are in terms of food, sitting there. The vodka lockers, love those. Like the Russians used to come over and drop, and I don't know if they're still there because I've been back. I'm going back, but the vodka lockers, like real fuck. I don't know how they smuggled it in, but there's like real vodka, like real Russian, not that Polish shit, not that Finland, and definitely not that French shit that they call vodka. But real vodka, and it's like it'll knock you on your ass.
So we have certain, obviously the big suites and the high roller suites at the hotels, and then there are actually hotels that are just for high rollers that we have. You couldn't go into, I mean, unless you are a big player, you can't stay at. And they're pretty opulent. And then whatever you want to eat, whatever shows you want, I mean, you just kind of, you name it. But the idea is to keep them at the tables as long as possible.
What about if you're like a super celebrity, like whoever? Let's say you're the most famous singer in the world.
Okay, like Barbara Streisand kind of thing, like that. That's the one like that.
Okay, if she comes
She
in,
stays probably. Yeah, she doesn't pay for anything. She'll be. I mean, because she's performing. I mean, if she's not performing.
No, she's not performing.
Yeah, well then if she's not gambling, she's going to pay. She's going to pay for suites. I mean, they're getting comped if they're performing, or if they obviously if they play. And today, algorithm.
Expenses.
Yeah, but it's a formula as to how much they're going to be comped versus, based on what the hours of play, the amount of play. I mean, there's a whole
I guess
formula.
no. The only reason I was asking is maybe, I don't know how it works in Vegas. You guys get all the celebrities, but if you're a celebrity, especially when it comes to certain places like nightclubs. I haven't been to one of those in like 20 some years, but. Like if you're a celebrity, they want to see famous people at their place. It gives it more like, it makes it look more.
So you mean like atmosphere people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean we just had a big party. There's a private club that opened up at Wynn, so they had a big party, the founders party of it, which that particular membership was something, and it was full of celebrities, A-listers. So they'll bring the A-listers in and comp them because it's fair for a party. But if you're just like Streisand and you have this itch to go to Vegas, I don't think so. It's going to be more if you're an invited guest. And like when Fountain Blue just did their big opening, they had tons of A-listers there. They just, they're comped. Everyone was pretty much comped for that, and they got hotel rooms and, the dine around and all the stuff, and then the show, because they're invited guests. And you do that on New Year's Eve, or like for a big fight, like a Mayweather fight, you'll see all these athletes that'll be invited guests. They're not all playing, but they're exactly.
But not all of them get comp. They'll still pay. They'll get discounts or something along those lines. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, if anybody really, like, outside of what Abby says, like, I mean, fucking, I know I've sat down and drank with stars and gambled next to stars, and they weren't getting comped on shit. Like, people that made a lot more money than I was, and they were losing at the tables, but they still count. They were like, hey, you want a suite?
Like the Arizona where you are, Pepe, who's here a lot is Barkley. Yeah, a lot, and you'll always see him in fights and stuff. Yeah, he lives.
Out of all of the years, I've seen all of the other.
Yeah, definitely lives in it.
Never seen it. And the reason I'm saying that's also significant is that when you're somebody that fucking big, you tend to stand out in the crowd.
Yeah, would think so, but I mean I don't know where he frequents and still, but he comes up here and he plays though. And he gets taken care of, and they have the best seats for fights. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I met him back in the 90s.
How'd you?
At a Phillies game. He was in the stands. His wife at point for the white woman.
Mo, her name is Mo. She's from Philly.
I met Charles Barkley
and Wayman Tinsdale at the same time.
Were you sleeping?
And they were jamming. So they had a.
And then you woke up and realized it was all a freaking dream.
Oh, I met him while he was playing for the Sixers.
Amazing. Wayman Tinsdale was like the nastiest guy when it came to basketball, but he was the nicest guy as a musician.
Did somebody bring up old school Wayman Tisdale?
No, I didn't hear that.
When you heard basketball, when the first person I'm gonna think about. Who was you speaking about? Well, Sacramento, he really made his name at, but Kansas, where he played at Kansas, it's Mitch Richmond played at Kansas State.
Yeah, Stoudemire
Yeah, Stoudemire
is on
got
Clubhouse with us. Amari got
No, which
just
one?
got. You didn't know?
one.
Mark?
Yeah, he used to be in rooms with us all the
Is
time.
he in
on Clubhouse.
Israel?
I used to see him at U of A all the time with his retard cousin or
Was
uncle.
he in the East? Or he just be on there?
He'd be in like social spaces. He used to be in rooms a lot. I mean, I'm gonna say the second year of Clubhouse, third year, often in.
So what happened?
Was he a BHR? Kind of. We never could figure it out.
Probably not.
But
So
he's not. But
so
he
he's
almost
actually
sounded
not.
like it. Wait, what's it?
Alright, so
Shut the fuck up, Rob!
He's Jewish.
man, that's shut your faggot ass up.
God damn!
Cause you don't know. You obviously don't know.
I hear him speak, and it's on video. It's not.
So what, dick?
It's not up. But he would, no, I mean, he kind of, I don't know, there was something about it. I forget what he was saying, but it seemed like maybe that was how he was introduced to it. You know, I don't know.
He's an Orthodox.
Yeah, he's an Orthodox Jew.
He completed an Orthodox conversion. He's Jewish.
That's cool.
I don't really. He's not.
I'm not trying to gatekeep whether or not. I'm not trying to gatekeep who's a Jew or not. It's not.
No, but calling
none of my
him
concern.
it's just kind of racist. It's like, why would
Stop arguing with Massa.
why would you
I
consider
never
him
even
Jewish?
say that.
Why would he be BHI?
Look,
I'm pretty sure I could just go fucking.
Stop arguing with Massa.
History of him being like somewhat aligned with them. I mean, you don't think that there's people who converted to Judaism that initially maybe they were drawn to it through BHI shit?
My understanding is that when he actually had a trip to Israel, and
He was talking from Israel in the video that I saw.
yeah, no, I'm saying the initial conversion, he got to Israel, and the religion of Judaism itself just it sparked something within him. Now, do I know that he has any BHI kind of rhetoric in him? Nah, I ain't never heard that.
It's farther than
I
Massa.
always hear more. Alright, man. I'm just ignoring that shit. Cause there's always some weirdos on this app,
Israeli citizen.
That's fine. I mean, he's also a celebrity, so it's probably easy for him. So even though like Vert's being allowed to make Aliyah there, they do make it so you have to go to. There's only like a handful of these Orthodox rabbis that you have to get the conversion from, and it's going to be like it's going to be very difficult, I guess, from what I've heard. but then they'll allow you. But you do notice that, like, when it comes to celebrities that quote unquote converted, like Madonna, people like that, they kind of, because of their celebrity status, it seems like they're just kind of easy on them.
Convert. She didn't convert. She didn't convert.
No, but she was sucking Tupac's dick for a long time.
Yeah, he's been, before he moved over to Israel, he was already, converting. But it's, there's stuff he said in the rooms that we couldn't figure it out, because sometimes he would talk and it felt like he was more BHI. So it's a bit confusing with him. Do you remember talking to him? Did we ever in his rooms with him?
I don't think I've ever.
Who are we talking
Did he only go by his real name?
I'm trying to remember what his name was. I have to ask someone.
Was
Norman here? Norm would remember.
I didn't know what, if I talked to him, I wouldn't have known it was him. But I'm only speaking about, what I've heard him say, like, on video while he's in Israel.
But he definitely got into the religion before he went.
Can you hear me, Abby?
Yeah. Were you in rooms with him?
No. The part that amazed me is that we just had like a 10-minute conversation about someone that everybody said they really don't. But yet we talked about it as if like we all knew the guy. It's quite interesting. I just find it really funny. It's interesting.
Mr. Edward, I would agree with you on the point that I feel the same way about Jesus, because we're talking about a guy that, I love, and none of us actually know the guy.
That means you didn't accept him as your person.
Thought that was so poetic as the bottle clinked. I appreciate it.
It is nice that Doc spoke down to Edward like Edward spoke down to everyone else.
Mr. Edward speaks.
Hold on, Doc. Hold on. First of all, I didn't speak down to anyone. I don't know how you think I spoke down to them. I just made a comment from my observation.
Yeah, we all do it. You mental.
Hold on. You don't know what I did. This is the conversation.
Literally just laid it out what you said.
Excuse me. You have that in your head. You don't know what I did. You're not in my head.
I'm just pulling it out of my ass after what you said.
No, you are. Because you know why? Because you know why? Your name is not Edward.
This person, y'all talked about it for 20 minutes.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and all you're doing is and you're disrespecting a man that needs rubbing. Like, you're being
We should all accept what he talks about.
But I do, like, so Abby, since you've been to Israel, isn't there like a real group of like in Dimona, isn't there like a real group of mainly American people that are BHI that have moved there?
Yeah, completely. It's a community near Dimona. There may be some in Jerusalem also, but definitely in Dimona there is.
How were they allowed to immigrate there? I'm just curious with their. Like, I don't.
And Pepe, you could immigrate tomorrow there. I mean, there's tons of Christians and there's tons of Baha'i and Muslims. It's a country that has lots of religions in it. Anyone can immigrate as long as you don't want to like tear down the nation and your security risk. You can live there. I mean, there's tons of Christians.
So these are not citizens then? Okay.
You know what? No, they're of course they're citizens.
Wait, did the Knesset rule in 1997
God damn it! Stop! I'm trying to ask you something.
They believe in Jesus.
Let's shut up.
Crazy.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to find some. I'm trying to find something else specifically. So
there's 20% of the country are Muslim. I mean,
no, I know, but when it comes to America, I thought like Israel.
Yes, you can move there and apply for citizenship like anybody else. You can. There's lots of people that.
I don't worship her and still move there.
I mean, that's crazy. Of course you can. It's a. Oh God, sorry, I'm driving it.
You can worship false idols like Jesus.
I mean, there's a big Baha'i Baha'i community there. There's a huge Druze community. And I mean, it's a democracy with lots of different religions that live there as citizens. That actually in the Knesset,
I really
as
like
well as
these
judges on the Supreme
Red.
Court, and ambassadors to other countries that are not Jewish. I mean,
Well, I know that
and to become a citizen, you apply for citizenship. I couldn't tell you the process. I've not gone through citizenship process, but I don't think it's the same as the U.S. where you have to take the test. All that we put citizens, or should be putting our citizens through.
Well, no, I've heard that it's for an American, like, for example, I'm obviously not, it'll obviously be easier for me because I'm not Muslim. I wouldn't have, like, the terrorist ties. But I heard you can move there and you can, for the most part, live there so long as you can afford, like, I heard even, like, for an American, I knew one guy, he owed somebody a debt, I don't know who it was to. It was either a person, the government, somebody, and they barred him from leaving Israel.
I mean, I don't know about that, but Pepe, you know that, a sad, horrible story of the two people that were assassinated in Washington that worked for.
One was a Jew and one wasn't.
Right, and the one that wasn't, they were Israeli citizens. You can be an Israeli citizen. There's tons of them. I mean, it's a crazy thing.
No, I know you don't have to be Jewish to be a citizen. I know you don't have to be Jewish to be a citizen, but
it's just like coming to any other democracy. You just move there.
But I thought they're trying to make sure, like, demographically, they stay majority Jewish.
No, not with citizens. No. If you want to move there, it's a beautiful place. It's just expensive in Tel Aviv, but
yeah, I can't afford that
one
shit.
country, right? But anyone can be.
Who the fuck wants to live in that shithole?
It's really beautiful, but it's if you're a threat, if you want to take down the country and the government, then they have every right to.
Yeah, you want to go to Constantinople or Istanbul? It's still a shithole.
Same way that Marco Rubio can stop someone coming into America. I mean, it's they have that.
Disagreeing like with that part.
Check your social media, and they're gonna see all your Nazi propaganda.
I'm not a Nazi, so that's fine.
Dude, he's a pussy. He won't even fight me.
Bree, one second, Bree. Thank you for talking about Israel. My wife and I have been there 3 times. It's actually beautiful, like you said. Tel Aviv. I actually have 3 of my family friends, very close friends that I've known over 20 years, who've all moved to Israel with their children. They actually live there right now. So we actually get first-hand information from Israel. I don't know. Do you have, Abby, the alert system when rockets are actually coming over? The red alert system?
Oh God, yeah, I do, and I had to finally turn off the sound because when it starts going crazy, wake me in the middle of the night. It's a lot.
Yeah, my wife and I have to do the same, but we always that with our friend that's there. He used to live here in Beverly Hills, in California. But him and his wife and actually their young kids right before COVID moved to Israel. And we have 2 other friends that's there. I don't know. I'll get you on the back channel and see one of my friends right now who actually have a news station in Israel from the U.S., but he lives now in Israel, and he reports what's happening live on the ground.
Wow.
So a lot of people, it's kind of interesting because they don't know. And the group that you're talking about, my wife and I actually had lunch with them one time between Jordan and Israel before we crossed over to Jordan. We actually sat with a group of people that actually migrated from the U.S. Not just people of color. I mean, every group that actually migrated lived there now in Israel. So, but
Jews are like every color. I think we got that part.
Yeah. But we're talking about ethnic.
Also that have moved there.
Are you allowed to be a redneck Jew?
Okay, shut up. So I'm just curious. I don't know this. I've heard reference to Indian and Chinese Jews in Israel with old communities.
I'll send you a link about it, Pepe. That is the northern part of China, and they go back hundreds and hundreds of years to they came. How they originally got there, I'm not sure if they came down from Siberia into China, but it's God, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name of the region. But you can go visit it. It's there's a lot of history and
Like Mount Zion?
No, you fucking know.
it's the northern part of China. It's the northern part of China.
Oh, China.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, Abby, there's a book. I'm sorry, Abby. Go ahead.
No. I'm driving. Otherwise, I would go.
There's a book called Trace Abby that deals with the table of nations, both from Genesis chapter 10 all the way to Matthew 2. And if you look at those two table of nations, it actually traces all the way back to the Chinese dynasty and everything else. And when the Jews were scattered all the way back before Christ, you can actually see.
After Babel. Yeah.
Greek. Come on. One of the areas that I like to do is listen to history from people that actually studied and wrote it down, people who've actually translated from oral tradition all the way till now, which is a pretty powerful step. So,
You mean kind of like Christianity and Islam, how our shit was just written. It was like written down way even after the times of Jesus and oral tradition and put down in writing.
So how much of that is actually written down in writing?
Now, I'll tell you what's interesting is probably how to get citizenship in a place like the Emirates is probably very hard.
It's impossible. Even if you marry an Emirati, you don't get citizenship. Even with their kids, I don't even know that they get it. In other words, being born there with one parent that's a citizen, they basically make it impossible to become a citizen. And I think Qatar actually just stripped the citizenship of a couple 100,000 people a couple of months ago. Another very wealthy country that there's not very many of them that are there. They ended up stripping a bunch of people from citizenship. I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of favor compared to what we have. Like if you think about it, like they have, you go to Dubai or Qatar, or I'm guessing Oman, even probably I've never been to Saudi Arabia, obviously, and I'm pretty sure it's probably very safe there. And
Very safe. Very safe.
And the thing is, though, you don't. Citizenship is near impossible to get. You're welcome as a foreigner to work there, but you're definitely going to behave. They have zero tolerance for any bullshit or problems that you have. They'll quickly, if it's serious enough, they'll put you in prison. Otherwise, they're kicking you right the fuck out of the country. They just have no tolerance for it.
Our country will let you come and still let you off.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's obviously very fake and they're not being empathetic out of it's not true empathy, I guess you can say. How I remember in 2019, the Democrats were asked a question at when they had their debate for the primary for the Democratic Party, like, would you provide health care for illegal immigrants? And all of them stood up and said yes. I was like, God, this is so retarded. To me, like when they answered a question like that, like immediately all said yes. Maybe I'm the one who's retarded. I don't think these are true believers. Like this is all strategy for them, and they know that it's not sustainable.
So like healthcare for all illegal immigrants?
Yeah.
Who? Are you talking about the Democrats?
Democrats in the 2019
they were grifting.
DNC debate, when they were asked the question, would you offer health care for?
Yeah, they were going based off of the fucking messages that Trump was racist, xenophobic, and et cetera, et cetera. So they were trying to draw that contrast, and it was a stupid move because they didn't realize how off-putting it was for Americans. Like, they just did not like that shit. Like, saying, wait, you want to give us our Medicaid and Medicare tax dollars don't deserve to go to this. And then California went ahead and did it anyway. And now California's got a major problem because the excess layers of risk that California, CalMed was trying to get back on, help cover all those pools. They're pulling back and they're saying, no, we're not going to offer you coverage. So now they're upside down on their policies, which means they're paying about 140%, meaning they're losing like massive money. They're not even breaking even. They're like, they're owing money, and they're just spending taxpayer money like water to cover the insurance plans because we can't keep it up. You just, every year the risks keep going up and up and up. And now the hospital systems are like, oh, you're illegal? Oh, don't worry about it. We're going to charge max rates. They're through their fucking roof.
I mean, this is where, like, I'm very pessimistic about this, but, like, they start talking about how, we need transgenders in sports. Oh, we need gender-inclusive bathrooms. But then you look at, like, the reading and proficiency in math and other subjects, like how they completely hit the fucking shitter over the last, 10 years. And it's just like, oh, but you want to worry about this stupid shit. Or if I'm being like very pessimistic, there's a demographic that is occurring, and that could have more to do with it. I don't know, but it is. But at the end of the day, it's silly that they don't put the most emphasis on like why are the kids failing at school? Like, why do you care about any of this stupid shit regarding transgenders in sports and? I mean, people don't even care about this shit. Like, everyday people don't care about this shit.
Yeah, well, it's a telltale because I remember that point vividly where the guy asked him, he said, by a show of hands, who would give health care to undocumented migrants? And all of them raised their hand. And I said, holy shit. And then these are the same people that turn around and saying we're not giving health care to the undocumented migrants. It's like, well, you just raised your hand.
It's crazy. I mean, liberals, and especially leftists, liberals were always the ones that were against illegal immigration. You're undercutting the American worker. You guys having, them to come here illegally. All of this shit. All that would be considered far right and Nazi-esque today were the fucking sentiment of the Democrat Party. You look at, if you go either to the left, like especially if you're looking at people like Bernie Sanders, for example, he was absolutely fucking clear. Like, no, you do not let in a bunch of illegal immigrants. You sure as fuck don't end up allowing a bunch of legal immigrants that compete with the American worker. Now, I think the leftists, their idea of what's good for an economy and solely focusing on the worker is where it also becomes pretty retarded. But I feel it's a delicate balance. I do think that we did have more reverence for the everyday working man in America, and then being able to live the American dream. At least have a house and a car, shit. And that's slipped away too much. And from what I would say is greed and people not really get to. Everybody's trying to chip away if they can at the poor and the middle class. I mean, there's so much disgusting shit.
Coming down the escalator and being all golden was the fact that Minnesota managed to hang on during a contentious period where it might have swung red and it was really close, but it stayed blue. But the only reason it stayed blue is because of the mass importation of a large amount of people. Guess who?
Racist, you can't say that. Oh my God.
When they did. No, but California was shifting And look at where he was doing it, and people didn't even bother to talk about this, but you looked where Biden was bundling people up on planes, where he was dropping them off. He was trying to build up districts and trying to get them to have these more people because the census count.
Exactly. More congressional districts. And
you want it?
I will say, this is something people, this is, a lot of people will falsely attribute the Hispanic population. It's actually what the most radical shift that occurred in California was amongst the whites. It used to be a state where, yes, you had overwhelmingly that whites would absolutely vote Democrat. But after Silicon Valley and a lot of the shifts that happened in the Bay Area, there was just a shift amongst the whites that was quite stark. And you've noticed that in California, I think the Hispanics were even the Hispanic men in particular were even like on par, or even in some districts overtook the white vote in voting for Trump. You had this weird surge of a lot of leftists that moved to California, and then them kind of like converting a whole chunk of that fucking population. It's just California's weird. You look at Oregon, and I think people sometimes oversimplify this. I do believe that they're trying to import foreign voters or people that will change the census, because obviously these are people who want to stay here. These are people that a lot of they want to keep them. So yeah, they're going to vote for Democrats for that reason. But
Illegal. So now you have like fucking zombies walking around, and they're all drooling from their massive drug overdoses, and they're spiking. And now you have another problem in there where hospitals are like, hey, we're taking a big hit, and we need more money. But of course, you can only stretch a dollar so far in Oregon. So guess what? The rural people have to give up care because they have to concentrate in the areas where a lot of
totally. Like when it comes to the rural medical care, but what the fuck is Oregon's ordeal? These are a bunch of fucking lefties that are batshit crazy. Like as Tom Likas would say, if you know who he is, it's home of the other white meat. It's just a big fat white woman, and these people are progressive and I mean, look at if you were to look in 2020, but particularly Portland, where the political violence was happening, and there's no black community really in Portland. This was all just far left, white people wanting to wreak absolute fucking havoc and chaos, and they did the same thing in Seattle with their Chaz bullshit. These, for whatever reason, the Pacific Northwest is just like a fucking cancer to America. I don't know what it is with these fucking people.
It's because it's a breeding ground from California. California has to influence it up there. So you've got Colorado, Oregon, Washington. They've been trying to keep Nevada or turn Nevada blue, and then you have they're trying to go down. Like look at New Mexico. New Mexico is a shithole state. Like if anybody's but I mean, it's always been progressive, though. You know that? It's
long ago, but
but he couldn't do shit.
They have like an old. It's kind of similar to like what you get on the East Coast. You have like these they have a democratic machine there.
New Jersey.
It's like New Jersey, and so it is pretty hard to overthrow, but it is. Like, comparing it to Phoenix, for example, we have our ghetto parts. So I remember going through Albuquerque, and it's like, wow, 80% of your city looks like our ghetto part, and then you have a few nice areas. And what's really weird is New Mexico is not a country, is not a state that has I believe it's a minority state. The majority of the people there are of Mexican descent, and of course you have a lot of Native Americans, which do a lot worse by every metric than the other people. But these people, not a lot of Mexicans moved to New Mexico. These are actually people who are the descendants of people that were there for 200 to 400 years. And a lot of people don't know that. They're not like the Californian Mexicans. But they've always been kind of poor and behind and ghetto, for lack of a better term. I mean, look at El Paso, which is right next to Las Cruces, New Mexico. El Paso is one of the safest, and that's nearly 100% Mexican. It is one of the safest fucking places in Texas. Really low crime. Economically, they don't do that well, but it's for whatever reason they don't have the corruption and the crime and the bullshit you have to deal with in Albuquerque.
No, I drove through Albuquerque. I drove through New Mexico. I can tell you, out of all the places I wandered, I'm going to tell people this. Make hotel you're staying in, it's got some beautiful parks, White Sands. I recommend it. Go. It's not what you think it'll be, but it's still beautiful. But I mean, there's beauty there. But I would tell you firsthand, you bring to New Mexico, you drive into, and then you bring your gun, because there's a lot of weird things, including the natives too, like the indigenous people, like Native Americans. They ain't that friendly. Like, and you do not want to be broken down on the side of the road out there.
Friendly.
I don't think you're ever worried about that.
But it's been weeks every summer. You like on the Navajo reservation?
When they're tweaking out, like half of them are on meth.
Oh yeah, there's that problem. I get you.
No. Because when you drive through and they see that out-of-state plate, man, they're those tweakers or whatever you do, those meth heads are coming up out of it. Like, you're just like, what the
You
fuck?
didn't worry about that in Washington or Oregon or California. Like, literally, you didn't worry about that.
Yes, we do. Like, I've been to Portland. I went to Portland a bunch of times so far. Fucking every time I have to go downtown and deal with Portland, it's
Did
like,
you worry
fuck.
about that in Seattle? Did you worry about that?
You know what's really weird is you look at places like Portland, kind of like, and what's really weird is
Oh wait, this is Victoria again.
Yeah. But what's really weird is that, like, Portland, I don't like rainy weather, so there's no way in hell I would ever move to Portland. But, like, I remember, like, being in Portland, it's like, that was the habitat.
Hello, everybody. My name is Santi. I am.
No, you can't. Sorry.
Okay.
Wait, who the fuck are you? Like, what the fuck?
To the audience.
Yeah, but her and him. Like, I mean, shit. Either one of you. Like, who are you?
But no, you can look at crime statistics when it comes to, like, Albuquerque. I think it was either number 1 or number 2 when it comes to carjacking. So, I could have had a house for free. All I had to do is move there but I work remotely. I could have done it. But, well, no, and this isn't a nice, like, whiter area of Albuquerque, but I just know Albuquerque. It's just like, what am I going to do in Albuquerque?
Like the Billy the Kid Trail, and that's about it.
And it's just like, am I going to hang out? It's like, oh, like, if I'm going to date, what are I love Mexican women, very good-looking women, but, I guess maybe some Mexican women that already have kids. No thanks.
Well, there's
I just got...
And you know they all want to leave New Mexico.
Listen, we're gonna talk. Professor King is gonna walk us through the implications of their N-word. Speak.
Yeah, we're not doing...
I will just
a
say,
casual conversation. We don't need to do this stuff.
without a gun, but I've never felt the need to own a gun my entire life. So,
well, I need to get my CCW reinstated. It lapsed, but I would definitely.
You know what I found funny was when I was there and I was driving through, and I mean it was fucking hot, and I got stopped twice by Border Patrol, and I'm like, they're looking at me, and now I'm like kind of like toasted, like I'm fucking burnt toast looking because whatever, like the badge or sunscreen didn't like work, SPF 4000. And I'm like, shit, and they're like, are you American? And I'm like, here's my plate. And they're like, go ahead. And the dog hit on my the back of my Jeep. And I was like, shit, right? Because that's where the rounds were. Like I kept a case of rounds back there, and I was like, the cop just kind of looked in through the back there, and I was like, nothing, and I kind of was just moved on my way. But man, no, they've got tweakers and jumpers and runners and coyotes running through there, and I don't mean the four-legged kind. There's just a lot. And
you have to be careful. You have to be
Public
careful.
service announcement, use Neutrogena sunscreen 100.
Okay,
Well, I mean,
so when it comes,
it's just that.
yeah, but here's the thing though. This is something you need to, because you might not know if you're not haven't been living around here recently, in the border. A lot of the couriers, whether it's the people transporting guns to the border, generally they don't take them across, or when it's people that are transporting the illegals once they cross the border illegally and drive them up, into one of the cities. They're mostly American now. They're mostly white. They recruit most of these people. They basically recruit people largely online. And look, if you're strapped for cash and somebody says, hey, I got 2 bodies for you to pick up. That's going to be $2,000 each. You just pick them up at the border, drive them to Phoenix to this location. You make $4,000 in 6 hours. I mean, that's pretty good. And so that's why it is something that despite you looking like a Viking or something like that, they're still
Yeah.
They're gonna stop you.
As far as New Mexico's sun sensitivity, I'm pale as fuck, and I barely go out in the sun, and I only wore it 50 SPF when I was in New Mexico.
Did you go in the winter or the summer?
I was driving back. It was in August. So.
Okay, summer.
Go hike the trails and hike Wicked Sands.
Well, I was watching.
Bird, I'm amazing.
Definitely wear sunscreen.
No, I live in
Whether
Phoenix.
it's 50 or 100.
No, but I live in Phoenix. I don't use sunscreen.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing. It's just, Albuquerque is really not that bad. I mean, Arizona is way worse. So,
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it is not.
Yeah, it is. Arizona, it's like 100.
I will say,
You're talking about. Oh, I thought you were talking about crime, and I'm like, dude, bullshit.
No,
but when it comes to
sunscreen.
Yes.
yeah, the sun, the heat. I don't know. So there's a lot of things people get misconceptions. People often confuse heat with the UV index, which you can actually be an incredible. Believe it or not, the places where you get the most UV rays are generally going to be at a high altitude.
See, you're missing his point.
No, I'm not missing.
Talking about sunscreen.
Yeah, sunscreen. Okay, but if you look at where New Mexico and Arizona
He was
are,
literally just talking about sunscreen.
yes, yeah, exactly. But you're interrupting me, so I can't make my point. So New Mexico and Arizona both sit at the same height above the equator. Okay, we are both basically going to get rather similar levels of UV rays. Now, one is going to be a colder or cooler climate, like New Mexico, especially Albuquerque, because it's at a much higher elevation than Phoenix. However, being at a higher elevation oftentimes means that you'll get more UV radiation than if you were at a lower elevation. So it can actually be 60 degrees out, and you can look this up. There's mountains in Colorado, okay, that get higher UV radiation than what you see in Arizona. It's
I was down there, in that heat, my alternator blew, so even getting fucking parts down there was a pain in the ass. But I mean, and then at that time, it was, what is it, the Hermit's Fire or or something like that was coming in, and everybody was freaking out about it. And then there was like just a fucking ton of wildfire, and the heat was just like, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, I'm gonna die. I'm dying in Texas now. That triple digit heat is just something
But you live in Houston?
like I can do. Right now, I live in Houston.
But what Houston sucks, Dick. I mean, I'd rather live in Phoenix. Like, it gets 120 degrees here, but there will not be a beat of like. Let's just say, like, you're at the gym. Imagine you're at the gym. You worked up a sweat. Within a couple of minutes of walking outside, that sweat and your dripping clothes are like dry.
Okay, coming down from Minnesota, like I always wanted to see White Sands. It was like on my like bucket list, and I was like, God damn it, I'm just gonna drive down. And I thought, you know what, it can't be that. There's people there. I've got sunscreen. I packed for it. Other people up north were telling me, fuck yes, whoever just said bullshit, that's right. I fucking died. I was like, oh fuck! I had to stop my trip, turn around, hike back to the car. I barely made it without any like water. Like I ran out of water. Went back into fucking shithole town number 1. Bought like every finding case of fucking water. Packed up the Jeep. It was like, and I still barely had any water after I was done hiking. And I couldn't.
That's just because you're not from here. Like. It's super intuitive once you've lived here long enough, but dude, I was living in Alaska, coming from Arizona. It was like 10 years ago, and I remember I was driving my girlfriend into work into Anchorage. It was like 20 minutes outside, and then I was like, yelling at me. He's like, are you fucking crazy? You can't wear it. What if something happened, car? Do you understand that you can die in the fucking cold? You can't just wear a fucking t-shirt. And I was just like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, holy shit.
I think when people are exposed to it, maybe they're understanding, but I think Vikings, basically a PSA about just wear fucking sunscreen.
It isn't until you sweat it off.
Particularly.
Where to? Oh, okay.
And I'm like, damn, these people are generous.
No,
they give everybody.
People not trying to die.
So then I, stopped at first restaurant. Would you like? And then I went to the, what's it called? Butte, B-U-T-T-E. That was the name of the area. Yeah. And I stayed like Marriott there, and I called myself. I think I had like a Honda Accord, and I went in, changed clothes, and came back out to get in the car. And the car was so hot on the side that it was only like 5 minutes too. And then from that point on, that's when I realized like I better start accepting these bottled waters because this heat is ridiculous. And then finally, I did a few meetings, and then at like 10 o'clock at night, it was around 10 or 11 o'clock, I remember looking at my phone, and it was 1:08 at like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, God, this is ridiculous.
It sucks. There's no respite from the heat, like in the summer. So like, it's still hot. It will be hot. It can be weeks in a row where it's just like 116, 118, 117. And then it's like 120. It's like, oh my God, this fucking sucks. And then, at night, it will stay still above 100. I had, and like, this is where like maybe people don't appreciate luxuries like air conditioning. My AC condo in August.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, you think you could bear it out, but then it's like, and then I had like I got a personal, like a room, it's like an AC unit for a room, but it was only like big enough to like cover a small area of the living room. And I just had to sit in front of that motherfucker the whole time. It was,
I took the off of my Jeep, and I'll fold it off. I'm going to tell you, I will never drive through New Mexico. I will not drive through Arizona with the top off. I was fine, and because I never ran my AC before, I mean, fuck, I lived up north, so either it was cold or I just kept the top off and just a super bloom going on, and that's gonna be awesome. But I mean, when I went through there, I never turned the AC on, so when I went to turn it on, it didn't fucking work. It blew air. It just didn't work, and I took it. When I got finally back, the guy was like, "Yeah, if you never turned it on, we probably have to charge it and see if there's a leak in it because you gotta operate." I was like, "I know, I'm just an asshat." And sure enough, it charged. What's up, man?
Dude, it's just summers are something different. But I'll just say, like, you get like 3 months that are like uncomfortable, but then we have 9 months of like very little rain. And of course, the rain we do get, when it does rain, it tends to be in the summer because we get monsoon storms. And so you get like really like violent thunderstorms at night. And that's about it.
Like Cafe.
Is that
No, but Arizona.
Okay. Sorry.
So like basically when the hot air at night, it like expands upwards, and then you have forcing the clouds that are high up to and it would be pretty violent. But we don't. But just imagine it's Christmas and you can wear shorts and a t-shirt, and that's that. Maybe you have to put on a sweatshirt. But you can do everything outside. When I was living in Alaska, what fucking sucked is that you got like 8 months where you couldn't do shit outside. Like it was a struggle not to like walk because the snow would melt. As I never experienced this shit before. The snow would fucking melt, then it turns to fucking ice, then the snow goes on top of it. That kind of melts, then it's more ice, and then you just have all this. Like, people, you slip and fall all over the place. You can't do anything outside.
That's the issue. That's the issue.
Because you're actually like bringing up like how do people experience the world and like their daily lives. And
Wait, what do you mean you can't do anything outside though? Hey, like we got sleds, dog sleds, we got ski.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
The situation room is stabbed.
Alright, everybody check out my photo.
Can you please not be an asshole?
It's not in my nature. It's not in my nature.
Wait, no, you say
It's not in your nature not to be an asshole.
But you say that like you there's things to do outside, but the reality is like especially during the week, you have to like go.
You're like
you go home.
You need to get
You don't have enough time.
Sorry, like, can you guys just like...
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You can speak, princess. Go ahead.
I'm not a princess.
Oh, I'm sorry, darling. Go ahead. Or pussycat, whichever one you prefer.
Or a cougar.
This is just really bitchy.
Hey, is it bitchy? What do you want me to call you?
Can you die?
You could call me my name, which is E.
Your name's E. That you were born as E. Okay.
They look to the baby, they're like, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, I give up.
Bye-bye.
Like, can you just ignore him, please? Like, I just say
The only thing that I wanted to mention is whether it has a direct impact on people's lives. And if we were to look at, like,
cool.
other...
Just let her finish.
Yeah, let her finish, guys.
If we were to look at, like, other countries, the United States is in a far better situation. But part of that is because of regulation that we incorporated. So we have Clean Water and Air Act.
We do?
We have, yes.
Talk about Flint, Michigan.
Okay, cool. I don't want to have to maybe. We gotta let the host speak in here. So stop.
Man, like you're not a bully.
Hoes and bros get to speak. Stop.
You fake bully.
Hoes and bros. Fuck. Okay, I'm just gonna mute up because I don't want to be on.
Is there a crisis in the situation room?
It doesn't even matter whether or not you want to be a bro. You're a bro. It doesn't matter or not you want want to be a hoe, you're a hoe. If you're female, you're a hoe, and if you're male, you're a bro. That's if you don't like our verbs, then to be sensitive about it.
If,
just
if
what we're being
that's
called.
really like if
It's not a
that's
big
what
deal.
you think, no, I'm not a fucking hoe because I'm just a woman.
You did say that Trump was hitting on you and that he can grab women by the pussy. So, I mean, I'm just assuming.
You're like.
He said, I have a Cheeto stuck down my throat, and then he pulled your pants down and he told you to pee in his mouth, right?
Guys.
No, that didn't happen, and that's not what I
I
shared.
thought if you had that much clearance, you could talk about what you did with Trump.
But I'm curious. You're saying yes. We have everybody's different. Everybody's different, and they have different circumstances depending on where they live, whether or not it's in this country or another country. Absolutely, I 100% agree. My whole thing would be: imagine that happened for hundreds of thousands of years. And I said hundreds or thousands.
So did
Not
Trump
hundreds, other
hire
thousands.
you?
But hold on, shut up.
Do you know?
But
bitch.
But hold on. So
Pepe, do you really know if she's been a victim of sexual assault, though?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, do you think that can actually be, like, sensitive if she was an actual victim of sexual assault?
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I'm talking about an unrealistic scenario where, like, why would he ask her to pee in his mouth because he has a Cheeto stuck in his throat? It's not really. It's kind of sexual. But I have a question. It's like
Can
weird.
this guy just like shut the fuck up because that
Which guy?
didn't happen? Pepe?
I thought you were supposed to talk about what you did in your
Yes, ma'am.
situation room.
All right, let you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, who's talking right now?
HI or HH.
Wait, just wait.
If you're trying to make this about Jews or Israel or we're not doing that.
No, it's not about this. I was just asking about.
No. Well, you can wait until after it's done. We gotta
Go ahead, E. Go ahead.
He was literally talking about the fact that it's easy for us to identify with weather situations across the globe. That's it.
Yeah, I love the weather. I love the Arizona weather is great.
What in the fuck?
Who would have ever thought that Eskimos live the way they do because they're in the fucking Arctic? And who would have ever thought that Hawaiians get to fucking surf and dive for fish because they live on a fucking ocean? That's so weird. I would have never thought
I
of it.
also mentioned that Clean Water and Air Act is something that the United States actually like dominates. If you were to look at the global situation.
No, that's correct. No, that's correct. Because we don't have a bunch of street shitting Jeeps from India pooping in our and yeah, they don't poop in our water. They're not putting their industrial waste in our water either.
Applied more globally. That's.
How do you do that to third world? How do you do that to third worlders? They can't. They're like people who don't like when a good chunk of their population doesn't have fucking plumbing when they don't have any way to transport shit or people except for like fossil fuels.
I mean, it sounds like a good case for colonization.
If you want to apply, yeah, and I actually don't know if colonization was a bad thing.
Oh, now you want to be a Nazi when it comes to being green and all that shit. That's nice.
I don't know if colonization was bad when we look at like if we were to examine it from like just an analytical perspective.
No, it was good. Largely, it was largely
good for
the Aboriginals. Oh yeah. Good for the South Africans.
The South Africans are living better than they have ever lived before.
Yeah.
First of all, most of the black South Africans. So a few things happened. Okay, so you can look at the Dutch that went there. They had the Khoi, what is it? Well, they call them Khoisan. They basically grouped them together. These are hunter-gatherers, loincloth spear chuckers. Loincloth wearing spear chuckers. These are just like super primitive people. Now the Dutch came, they ended up developing parts of South Africa, and then they get into a brutal war with the English. The English were pretty fucked up to them. The English, they come into power, and they're like, oh yeah, we gotta get these niggas, and we gotta have them work for us for very cheap. Yeah, that's right, but you ain't gonna sleep with us, you ain't gonna be near us, okay? Come on, niggas, left and right, come here, work for us. And then he did that. A lot of black people come in from all over Africa to work. They were shitty wages and all of that stuff. Now, with that being said, the rest of the continent was so fucking horrible that they decided they were going to fucking move to this place called South Africa, where they'll live under apartheid, but it will be so much better than where they fucking live, currently in Africa. Now, I'm not saying it's a moral thing for the British to do, because the morals. Well, first of all, the British are a bunch of faggots. I just want to get that off.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. And so they did what they did, and they love bringing in cheap foreign labor. That's one of the biggest problems with the Brits. It's what they're dealing with in their country right now, and it's a very classist country where you have a large underclass, and basically their upper class is so they fucking hate their underclass. They side with foreigners over there.
If you're looking at the quote unquote colonization, if you were to actually try to bring up a society, then you would make sure that you had experts in that society that would be held accountable.
Sure, but the problem is though is that But the problem is though is if you try to what you're asking for.
No,
what you're asking for is that let's say we become super colonizers. And we're like, you know what, India, you've lost your way. We're gonna take over. No, what you is that you're gonna third world country that has limited means. They cannot go green.
I misspoke before, and I said that maybe colonization wasn't the worst problem. And the only reason that I mentioned it was because I'm thinking about countries, I don't know, let me look at Hong Kong. Before the 98 handover, Hong Kong, 97 handover, sorry. Hong Kong would have been in a better position.
Yeah, but but that was a hub.
Different position.
But that was a hub of that was an economic hub of fucking. No, yes, it was. It was an economic fucking hub of the Mandarin speaking people, and so they literally let the cream of the crop from the rest of China come in.
You don't fucking speak Chinese.
I don't. Neither do you.
I do.
Can I ask you a question of you, E?
I don't know. Okay. Maybe you can ask.
Okay, maybe or can I?
You're able to ask.
Edward, I'm going to correct you. This is something that my English teacher used to correct us on.
May I?
Exactly. Thank you.
Got it. May I? May I ask a question of you, please?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I'm in agreement with you because I believe that there's two sides to every coin. Could you share with any of us what was the positive side of colonialism?
I think the positive side would be the distribution of the infrastructure that occurred in different countries. So if we look at Hong Kong or definitely sorry?
Okay.
But coming on the goddamn mic.
It's Edward. So I agree with you because there's infrastructure that have taken place because of the colonialism in different parts of the world.
And also like the export infrastructure that developed, the ability for the internet, that also occurred. because of that. So.
Yeah, well, you know that we started out in America with the first 13 colonies, and that was pretty much the infrastructure of the 13 colonies. But we became the United States for a reason, right? Because we divorced Prince George III, the King George III of the United Kingdom, and that's why we became the United States, and we're no longer called a kingdom. I agree with you. Sometimes we only listen to the quote-unquote bad parts of colonialism, but I do agree with you, that there were parts of colonialism that actually countries got infrastructure, got opportunities, got actually a whole lot of different things because other people, these skill sets came into other countries and developed them. So I just want to find out from you, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it isn't like I don't want to advocate for colonialism, but I do strongly think that Hong Kong would be in a better position today if we didn't like
so pretty
it's very like frustrating.
Yeah, to be fair, the Chinese are
never.
The Chinese cannot. Okay, people like to talk about how fascistic, the colonizers, such as the British, every metric, far more fascistic than the United States.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Hold on, one second. I never said that Hong Kong was held by the United States. That's not what I said.
No, you didn't.
Okay, what I'm saying to you is this. Right now, in the world, there are several forms of government, okay? Our government is a republic, and I'd like to ask you this question. Could you please share with me, we have 195 countries, okay? Where has the United States government colonized someplace in any of those 194 other countries?
If you look at our properties owned where people cannot vote, Puerto Rico comes to mind.
You said
Guam.
colonize Puerto Rico? No, I said colonize. Okay.
Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory, and they don't have the ability to vote.
No, hold on. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. Please explain to me the colonization. You said it's a U.S. territory, and they can't vote, but please explain to me.
Sir, I
what we
literally identified two territories, Guam and Puerto Rico.
Both American Samoa.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
well,
three little islands. No, hold on, guys. I just wanted to know from because telling me they were colonized by America because of the U.S. territory.
Because they're military access.
What?
Idiot. Like, I'm sorry.
Hold on. I know. Yes.
It changed hands multiple times, but a lot of these islands.
Do you want to tell me U.S. Guam is not a
Jason, you just said Puerto Rico, you dumb twit.
in the fucking military?
Yeah, I actually served in uniform for the government. You lied and said you were in the Situation Room with 3 fucking presidents, and then you were a medical doctor. So spare me your fucking litany of that you're going to expound on the state.
Okay, so I was trying to do something for you. You, but then you decided to just despair by calling me a name. I didn't call you a name. I just tried to be clear with you. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and let Tuna go ahead, and I'm not going to save you any longer. You're on your own.
It doesn't matter. I don't need saving at this point.
Okay, so quite often colonization is mixed up with something worse, which is outsourcing. When you have a look at what the East India Company did,
You're crazy.
on behalf of Britain. No, seriously. Take the Bengal famine. So this was at a point where the East India Company had been brought in by the Imperials, basically to do stuff cheaper than than the Imperials could do it, and they didn't want to apply the manpower, so they brought in subcontractors. A lot of the looting and the plunder and just general exploitation of Bengal at that time, that was done by the subcontractors that we brought in. I would say that Western colonization is in fact subcontracting. Just thought I'd drop that point in.
Which is what they did to the South.
Oh, gotcha. And get too away from the weather point, guys, have made me feel so stupid. I thought it was an oppressive thing for the police to go and sit next to anyone that had a car breakdown out here. It's not. It's to make sure they don't die in a car. And it's only just occurred to me with the
Look through history, the only place that the U.S. colonized was Liberia. That was a colony that was set up in the 1830s, was it 1828 or 1830s, and it was headed by the American Colonization Society, but each state or city had their own colonization society, and it was set up like businesses. So when you look at an 1830s, 1840s, 1850s map of the coast of Liberia, you see places like Greenville and Louisiana and Kentucky and Virginia and Maryland, and all these places. So that's the only one that I'm fine.
But wasn't that a private organization, not actually a U.S. government agency, that the American Colonization Society? That was a for-profit slaving company, wasn't it? So we can't really blame the U.S. for something that a subcontractor did.
Again, I think you can make a case for both sides. It just how you want to tell the story.
Well, I mean, you have to look at it too like this. Like, to be fair to the black people that were slaves, and a lot of people, when you look at the South, they like to blame all of the white man. There's only white people that could afford slaves. Most white people were just scraping by. They had a huge underclass, and the aristocracy that kind of resembles what you would see in the UK in modern times, or throughout times, it was very prevalent. Or in fact, the most prevalent in the South, where they had a very large white underclass. Now, they treated the underclass of whites as their absolute shit, but I mean, they obviously treated blacks horribly. And you did get the blacks that they went to Liberia. To be fair, what else did they fucking know? I mean, it's just like, oh yeah, we got some niggas over here. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna make them slaves. We run this shit now, and it's just they're basically trying to put themselves in Mass's position. I mean,
When they got over there too.
I'm sorry, Sword. What were you saying, Sword?
No, I was just saying they got in a fight when they got over there too, because some people who was from there, they wasn't having that shit. So they got on the boat and they had a fight.
Yeah, exactly. I have a question for you. You continue to think that you're like protecting people of color. So I'm asking you.
I'm not protecting people of color.
No. Well, hold on. Let me just finish. Because you keep talking as if though you understood. How many black people in the United States were free, and how many of them owned?
You're in the Matrix.
I believe you asked me how many black people were free and how many owned slaves, and at which year?
I think he was in the Matrix. Maybe, unfortunately, the infrastructure around him probably wasn't great.
Am I still in the Matrix?
No,
Yeah, you're good.
Am I still in the Matrix?
No, we can hear you. You asked me
Am I still in the
what
Matrix?
percentage. No, you're not.
he didn't have great infrastructure around him.
Yeah, Pepe, I still want to double down and say I don't think colonization was a great thing for Africa. I think to this day, resources are being raped. South Africa people got put in townships. Yeah, King Leopold, who murdered 18 million.
King Leopold was a piece of shit. I mean,
Congolese. And still to this day, you know, you have European nations playing chess, propping up certain factions and certain militias, giving them guns, making certain tribes jealous of the other tribe, pushing them to kill each other, giving one tribe AK-47s while the other tribe, you know, doesn't have anything. Like, it's just a sick game that Europe has played with Africa. And shame on you for saying that it was a good thing for Africa.
Can you agree though that colonization may be like distinct based on different countries or different territories?
No, I think the people of South Africa would have been fine.
Not talking about Africa.
Go ahead. Well, where are you talking about? Australia? Like where?
Hong Kong, Macau.
Wait, can you ask the question again?
Look up the answer to Mr. Edwards' question. Between 1790 and 1860, the rate of slaves that were freed actually peaked in 1810 and 1820. So they were freeing more slaves in the middle of slavery. It started off with 8% and then capping off at 11% with a big glut of 13% year on year of freeing slaves.
so I did just look this up. And so I did not know this off the top of my head, but it showed about 10% of the people, blacks, which in the U.S. before slavery was outlawed, were free, and so you had. It says here you had 319,000 free blacks, and you had 3,776 free black individuals that owned slaves, and so that 3,000 move a couple decimal points. 3, that's about 1 to 1, so it'd be about 1% of blacks owned slaves.
Right, and then do they ever talk about, why don't we, if we get a slave movie every year, why don't we get what happened or the lifestyle or the culture on those black-owned plantations? Like, were there rape farms? Were they raping little kids like the white people? Like, what was going on?
No idea.
I mean, slave hills historically accurate. Most of them are just pity porn, trying to be dramatic. They're not.
Most of the slaves in the South were like the top 5, maybe 10%, 5 to 8% of the wealthy. They were the ones that owned the slaves, but they leased them out. So, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of cruel punishment, and absolutely, like there were slave revolts, etc. We have those documented, and where what some of those events turned into, because we have the journals at the time. But the onset, Hollywood has really been taking a lot of real licenses with it, because again, for most of the wealthy people, their main source of income was slavery, by leasing out slaves to work in the smaller, poor people fields. Like basically, hey, we need to have this industrial complex. They sure as hell were not going to have individuals that just were starving, couldn't lift anything, go out and work some field just to be nobody would lease them.
What is the relevance of
So why are you interrupting anything? Like, why are you even talking now?
what is the fucking relevance or discussion?
What the
You're
fuck
going on
are
a
you saying?
diatribe,
What
and I
the
have
fuck
no
are you
idea
saying?
why you're.
I don't know why you're talking.
Why is it
you're
even
even opening your
relevant?
mouth? Like, are you going to
Why
go back
is
and file that lawsuit against Trump for like hitting on you in the situation room?
Brad, I wanted to interrupt in 3 words at a time, just to take a little bit longer.
No, I'm sorry. I was was half paying attention, but Pepe, you were talking about slavery, and again, it just, when you...
Tuna was mentioning something.
So, again, you love interrupting. Are you like that? Are you off your meds again? Like, you disappeared for a while, so I'm assuming your medication was titrated just right. Yeah. I miss the days when we had sane women on here.
I mean, in case he had 1%, which it kind of makes sense. He's like, slaves, you have to be able to afford them. The free blacks, I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing because of the atmosphere of our country at that time, like, not many of them were wealthy. Yes, I understand there were some that were super fucking wealthy. But other than that, yeah, like what could you do with a slave if you could not afford to like feed them or put them to work? I don't know.
They seem to be concentrated in New Orleans and Mississippi, and some of them, I'm not saying they were the absolute worst, it seemed to have been the black owners. In particular, there's one horrific story. Yeah, a black female, a slave owner. She was one of the absolute, like they even made a horror movie with her and the history. They took a lot of liberal things, but she was really brutal. And then there was this like narrative that was popping up about how like, oh, they were just buying family members, and I was like, no, that wasn't what was going on. Like, this woman was cruel and torture them for her music. Had like a whole porn factory going on where women could come in and just like sleep with them. It was fucking torture. So yeah, slavery was fucking horrific. But man, it was like, I don't know, they just treated them like they were, prize stallions. They weren't going to starve them, beat them, or anything like that.
And that's the thing, is a lot of people, because it's, okay, I'm against slavery. I don't think it's moral. And I'm not an Anglo. I'm not going to try to downplay it, but if you refuse to look at slavery as being anything the utmost Bruton can experience, you're just racist and you suck. But the reality is that these are people that the children had to be raised. The slaves, they had to be cared for and until their death. And by the way, you got arrested if you mistreated your fucking slaves. Like, this is, I understand, wasn't always the case. There's corruption and stuff, but you couldn't abuse your fucking slaves. And a lot of the people that owned them, they were not nearly as abusive as people make them out to be.
In fact, after the liberation, they had like. People were like, I'm broke, I have no money. So I can't afford to feed you, I can't afford to. And so now they're just wandering around, and there was nothing prepared. But then again, I'm sure he was there because she was like in the.
Fuck off. You're stupid. You're like, this is really like frustrating.
Then why are you here?
Okay, no ankle biting. Just let her.
Because I actually give a fuck about how the United States perception is in the world, and that's the only reason I'm here. But I'm potentially just,
but we don't own slaves anymore. They're like, what do you mean?
But you know why?
You know what's really weird though?
Understood that
What understood what? Do you understand? Has been practiced by all of the fucking Arabs, basically the Muslims, which even
literally every culture across the world.
The Native Americans is that you were the first people that outlawed it throughout the fucking world. If you actually sent their sailors to die to stop the transfer of slaves, it was those same white people.
Do you know that, so I didn't come to the stage to talk about slavery.
But that's the conversation. And so, like, again, you act like, this is one of my most frustrating things. People like you and other, like, liberal black people that think that somehow it's only the white people, but it was actually Africans that destroyed fucking entire fucking, like, territories in Africa. Killed, slaughtered, raped, murdered, burned, fucking wholesale villages and entire fucking communities, and turned around and sold them for trinkets, beads, and fucking mirrors and marshmallows. And then it's to like fucking 5 guys on a rowboat, and somehow or another, white people overall, and they had a significant part. I'm not downplaying, but you do nothing for the fucking treatment what went on in Brazil, where the majority of the transatlantic slave trade actually went to. And oh, by the way, you want to talk about atrocities and horrors? Those Caribbean and South American and Central American. Holy shit, man. Been burnt alive than go there, because that was no bueno. That was not fun. That had no reciprocity. They fucking worked until they died in the fields and then just were replaced. Like, it was not treated with conditions that were nice, and the Spanish were fucking incredibly fucking brutal. So, like, you guys have no smoke for any of these other ones. In fact, you go so far as to say they're indigenous in that area, and then you're like, oh, no, they can't be the ones responsible. But yet, you never actually blamed the whole fucking structure of the entire world at that time, because guess what? Slavery was going on everywhere in the fucking world. Literally everywhere. And you had the Maroons in Jamaica that fucking put a beautiful revolt from the mountains to fucking push people into the ocean. You had the Haitians that fucking fought for their own against the French to stop that shit. But you guys never actually claimed, hey, you know what? Would have been a good idea is Americans not butchering and slaughtering a whole bunch of people and turning around and selling them to white people after they're doing it. You never talk about the Middle Eastern trade, and you talk about the fact that they captured fucking white people and made them slaves over there. So, like, it was universally, and you never talk about the Asian ones of the Mongolian slaves. You never do that, or any of the Pacific Island.
And we're talking about what's going on this planet.
Some of us were not born until like 99.
Was there ever a worldwide slave trade? Was there ever a worldwide slave trade?
Yes.
That was white.
Yes.
That was white.
Yes, in fact, you know, brutal. Sure. No, shut the fuck up and let me. Goddamn, there was a far more brutal form of slavery. Okay, so there were actually more.
Absolutely. When and where?
So I'm answering your question. Somebody just said it. Barbary slavery. There were more Europeans that were taken into slavery by the Berbers than there were sub-Saharan African slaves into the current continental United States. Now, they operated a much different way. First of all, and they did it mainly through raids. They would go to your coast. They would end up kidnapping a bunch of people. Shut the fuck up. No, this is
true.
No, this is this is well documented. So the Berbers would go to islands all over and of course shoreland all over the Mediterranean. And what they would do is they would end up. So the first thing they did once they enslaved you as a male is they chopped off your nuts.
No.
You were not going to reproduce with anybody. And then when it came to the women, they were often put in sexual slavery and a lot of other stuff. Now, with the men, after they chopped off their nuts, they would be given a variety of duties. One of the worst duties is they'd be put in the galleys of one of their fucking, and they would be chained there. They'd be forced to shit, piss, sleep, eat, shut your fucking filthy mouth. Okay, so I'll move you back. I'll bring you back. I'm not the one who's been muting you, but I'll bring you back up once I'm done talking. Because like, holy shit. Now, you were forced to piss, shit, sleep, eat, everything where you were. Once you were too tired or sick to continue rowing in the galleys, they just threw you overboard. And I've never met a historian. Yeah, I'm sure there's some Afrocentric, CRT, that will just like say like, oh, it wasn't that bad. But no, it was absolutely fucking horrible.
It wasn't than what happened in the Americas. It was about one.
No, I said the continental United States.
It was still a lot. It was 1 million, but as far as like United States,
it was more. How many came into the continental United States?
4 million.
No.
Yes.
No, it was under 1 million.
No, hell no.
Continental United States. Current continental United States. No, we're not talking about that's bullshit.
Everybody's talking about the 13 colonies. How many made it to the colonies?
No, it was just over. No, that's the whole Americas. No, I said the current United States. The current United States.
4 million.
No.
That's not true, brother.
It was under 1 million. Now, if you were to, I believe it might have been.
I don't even believe that number. 398,000.
Yeah, 398,000.
I don't even believe that number because when I look specifically, like I dive into the archives in South Carolina, and from Georgia, so that's where I started. There was no direct trade route directly into the port of Savannah because Savannah didn't become an international port until like 1833. So the route that would have been taken would have been Brazil. You would have came into Charleston and then Brazil.
85% of the slave trade went to Brazil.
We know that.
15% went to the islands and 5% went to America.
Yes, you're making my fucking point. You're making my fucking point. The vast majority of people, shut the fuck up, Holly, let me finish. The vast majority of people, or slaves from sub-Saharan Africa, that were brought over to the Americas were brought over by the Spanish and the Portuguese, and not into the United States. No, but that is a fact.
85% of Africans went to Brazil. 85 fucking percent. 85% went to Brazil. Think about this. How did the Portuguese and all the
That's the numbers because you had Jamaica.
Yes.
You had. I don't think 85% went there because stopping roads. You had other islands, the Bahamas, Bermuda. You had Jamaica, which was a massive one. You had Haiti, which was a massive one.
I don't have to Google it because it was to the guy myself who actually put the numbers out there. I ain't got to Google it. I talked to him.
Out of 100%, how much went to Brazil versus America? Google it.
And you know what? I understand what you're saying, brother. I'm telling you, I swore, talk to the guy. Was out here. And one of the things that he had a hard time putting together was the people that came from Africa, were they actually Africans? Because when you go through slavery, you got to start with the wars and shit that was taking place in Europe. So when you say, the Portuguese did this, you had Portuguese going against Portuguese for religious reasons. You had Spanish going against Spanish for religious reasons. You had British going against British for religious reasons. So they were enslaving themselves as well. So it was slavery. Every guy was a slave in Africans. The Indians was Indians. And then you have these partnerships and alliances that will take place. And then now you have different people of different nations fighting together based on whatever their interests are.
Right. You talk about the silent part of history when it came to the spreading of, I would say, nations, tribalism, and when it all got mixed up and erased at the same time.
Correct. So, like as an example, when we was talking about South Africa earlier, South Africa has a interesting history because you had the Portuguese that went around the coast and they started marrying. So you had Portuguese, a specific stock went around the coast and you know they tried to fight and they also did a good job of marrying into these tribes. This went from what I guess what we would consider Sierra Leone all the way around to damn Ethiopia, including Madagascar. And then after that, you had the French came, and then you had the British came, and then as things was kicking off in Brazil, you know, one story that's told is the 3 million, you know, people that came from Africa over to Brazil, but they were also at the same time simultaneously taking the indigenous people out of Brazil over to Africa.
You're talking about
and you
the
had them
triangle
people.
slave trade, not the transatlantic triangle, where it went triangle back and forth.
Correct, because that's the rotation of that ocean. So South Africa has I mean, without, I don't want to put none on those people, but say that the South African is because there were so many people that mixed in down there, you know,
Let me ask you this question. When colonization ended, where did it stop? Now I want you to think about what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you believe that basically Rome and Alexander the Great, whatever you want to put on Caucasian ancestor, whatever the white man, when they spread did what they did, integrated to every culture, when did it stop? Am I right to say it stopped once history started? Let me ask you this. Once I would say, what's his name, Columbus, once you heard that, is that not when, and is that not when it has been changed? Because Columbus was not the first part here, because we have evidence that they were been here. When Columbus came, or what they did during that time, is it the first time it has, how do you say, traded, mixed in history, you know, got passed down? Or am I right to say the Vikings, or also
Right,
part of the
so allow me to help you out on this one because it's sort of going all over the map. Okay, so when it comes to slave trade bans, William Wilberforce eventually brought through the Abolition of Slave Trade Act in 1807. The following year, in the US, they banned the domestic trade continued, but the importation of slaves ended in the US in 1808. In Haiti in 1804 after a revolution. In 1833, the British Empire had full emancipation. In France, I think it was 1848. There are two people to have a look at when it comes to the abolitionist movement. So that's William Wilberforce and Thomas Folwell Buxton. It was really Wilberforce that was the driving force for bringing about abolitionist legislation. But there was movements in both the evangelical and Protestant Christian movements.
Let me ask you this. Is it true that the Catholic Church had a lot to do with the slave trade?
Yeah, they okayed it. As somebody who's raised Catholic, I mean, I have.
Thank you.
So
somebody all that they passed universally.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, is that part of the reason why that the Portuguese and the Spanish ran amok? And there's a lot of other historical context, but including like them being literally under a caliphate for several, in fact, many centuries.
Y'all hear what he just said? I bet you a lot of people didn't know. Catholic Church listen, the Catholic Church signed something that the universal world agreed on, that they were allowed to do what they did at a certain time, and they had a lot to do with it.
But that didn't have nothing to do with the British, though.
No, but I'm saying the Catholic Church had more pull
than the British and everybody else in the
No, they didn't. No. The British had more pull. No. The British had more fucking pull, okay, than the Spaniards and the Portuguese. Stop. The British are Protestants that did not like the Vatican or care about Catholics. So you're
till this day.
No. I think what you're maybe getting wrong is I don't think you realize why colonization happened. You have these countries with deep blue sailing capabilities, such as the Dutch, the French, the Spanish, and Portuguese, and they were doing a race across the whole world who could take the most land. What did they do when they encountered each other on this land? They fucking slaughtered each other. Why? Because they were taking the most land that they could for their crown. It was literally, that's what it was about. It was not, I don't even know what your point is. Like, they were incompetent.
What were the different crowns if there was a kingdom going against kingdom? What was the different crowns?
Well, if you would have used
Portugal, Spain, France, England.
Modern names, it would be Portugal and France. But if you go back into King Navarre, you had
Church all
there was two of them.
Wasn't the Catholic Church influenced in all of that?
Only the Catholic countries. The Dutch and the English were not fucking Catholic, dude.
Weren't the Crusades taking over the world?
Crusades happened way before the fucking colonizing.
Listen. Islam and the Crusades are the domination system. If you look at
but they fought each other though.
We're talking about colonization, dude. You're focusing on the Crusades now. First of all, stick to your main fucking point. Why was it that there were slaves that were brought to the Americas? Who was bringing them? Why switch over to some irrelevant bullshit topic?
So what he's aiming at is Nicholas V and Pope Alexander VI.
Right.
All right. So this was in the 1400s, and there was a period at that point where Catholic monarchs were issued the right to colonize and enslave non-Christians. At the time, it was Saracens, pagans, and unbelievers. This was off of the back of the Spanish Inquisition and all of the power base that came immediately after the bubonic plague. There were a lot less people, which made the church way more monarchistic. History where you had two popes that were actually trying to raise funds in the subjugation of indigenous people. I think the rights, it was called like the Satiric Bulls or something like that.
Was Islam involved in that?
With the Catholic Pope.
I mean, was there coexistence between Islam and the popes during that time?
No, there's not. No, the Saracens were the early stages of what we would later call the Ottoman Empire. So
right.
They were
Barbarossa came from Turkey. He came from Turkey in 1504.
There was
Exactly. Say it again.
But so what you're aiming at, right side, is a period in the 15. No. You conflate two different things from two very different bits of history.
Empire since the Roman time.
Well, you gotta realize.
The Islam after war.
If you look at the Anglo world, they were amongst the first to abolish slavery. The Protestants are not the same as fucking Catholics. I don't know how to get this to your fucking brain. The Protestants, especially at that time, amazing. So the Protestants at that time hated Catholics.
Crusaders or the Catholics.
when they found them.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like even if you were, you breaking up right now.
Yeah.
When
No, so,
they
right, so
spread,
there's a difference.
when they expanded,
Yeah.
did Islam or Muhammad ever go to war with the Catholic or Christians during the dark?
Yes.
Where and when?
Yeah, because
In the Dark Ages.
parts of history, like there are people that could have met each other.
Can I make a point?
Yeah.
Right, sir. Like like Emperor Constantine around like the 5th century, like 450. Yeah, like 450 AD. Like like made what the Bible is today. Muhammad, and like peace be upon him, if you believe in him. Like like that was like 200 years later. And like you're talking about like the bro, dude, in the Dark Ages, that was like 1600. Like we went through some hard paganistic bullshit because of religion. And like if you really want to add together, bro, please tell me how it fucking makes sense. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I mean, in fairness, the Quran was written in the 630s. And that's when it was canonized. So that was 200 years. What was the Council of Nicaea? Hold on, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Well, it was 325.
Yeah. But my point still standing. By spanning centuries of history and trying to conflate different events over different centuries, these people weren't alive to fight one another. Life expectancy was about 40 at that point. So the idea that these people from this century and those people from that century could have fought or collaborated, they couldn't.
Dude, John, I agree with you. Like, I can't believe I've been talking to Kitover the whole time. Holy crap.
No,
you're completely right, John Kitover.
No, I'm not Zachary.
He's being
this is just a troll. So yeah, we seem to have gone into a conversational cul-de-sac. Aren't kids great?
So did the Catholic
Bro, I just be my pickup truck. I can do a roundabout, Rick. You know what I'm saying?
Did Islam and the Catholic Church coexist during the Dark Ages?
No.
So how did Islam spread to be the majority religion?
They slaughtered everybody. They forced them into their religion.
But not here. Hold on. Where the Catholic Church slaughtered, like they took over all America.
Hold on a second. So you're doing this thing where you want to immediately deflect, because these Catholics did this.
What about us?
Okay, so in the whole reason you would do that is you're trying to deny the culpability of the Muslims.
No, you're assuming something. I'm making a different point.
Slavery?
I'm saying that the fact that Islam has taken everything of the Middle East and invaded to Africa and its the surrounding areas, right? The whole of America, as far as Spanish America, like Mid-America, South America, is Catholic. Let's be honest. When have they ever went to war amongst when it comes to geography? Can you tell me?
Mr. Edwards,
Catholics have been doing this forever. But I'm just curious. Can you tell me? Hold on. Can you give me any example of where the Vatican Vatican today upholds slavery, or is
I wasn't talking about slavery. I'm talking about Catholicism, Islam spreading.
Well, you had Islam that spread from North Africa all the way
Islam is the number one spreading religion in this world to this day.
You're gonna have to listen to people answering the question.
Well, I'm trying to answer your question, so I don't know what question is on the floor right now.
You just change the goalposts and deflect. He just wants to fight.
Okay, I don't want to fight. I just want to know if I'm making a point or not.
That's why I still arguing. Yeah,
I want to know if I'm right or wrong to say,
so
am
to
I making a truthful historical point?
Right side, how tore up are you? Right side. How tore up are you?
Why are you trying to talk stupid when I'm talking to you?
I'm answering your question.
I'm asking you a real, legitimate.
Fucking question.
So here's the.
Scared about the truth.
And I hope we all have Jesus in our heart right now.
I talked about Catholicism and Islam, and y'all talking about Jesus.
Calm down for 2 seconds. I'll answer the question.
Okay.
So, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, and the Gulf states.
That's what we were talking about, right?
Islam concentrate. Yeah, I'm answering the question.
I talked about Saudi Arabia.
Right side, shut the fuck up. Let the faggot tuna finish.
Oh, he's a faggot. Yeah.
I mean, kind of, sort of. He's bi.
Faggot.
You wish.
Faggot.
I mean, what is going on?
Okay, look, I'm getting really thoroughly fucking annoyed. Dude, let him fucking finish.
Okay, so to answer your question, in the 7th century, it started off in Saudi Arabia and in the Gulf Peninsula. Then in the middle to the late part, Islam spread to Syria, Jordan, Iraq, Egypt, 3 countries around the Gulf Peninsula. Then in the 7th to the 8th century, in the Umayyad expansion, that's when you saw Islam expand to Tunisia, Morocco, southern Spain, like Andalusia, some parts of Portugal, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Central Asia. Then in the 8th and 9th century, Sudan, parts of India, getting as far as the Punjab region and modern-day Delhi. But that wasn't until the 12th and 13th centuries. Sorry. And then West Africa was the 10th to the 13th century. There was a second movement of Islam going into the 14th to 17th century, where we saw Islam going to Indonesia, the Philippines, and then and reaching as far as China, and then sub-Saharan Africa and the Balkans in the 15th and 16th centuries. That's the major spread of Islam.
You know what's really funny is that the native Christians of Egypt. We can look at Alexandria when it comes to Libya. All of these places. We are Tunisia. Excuse me. They ended up basically colonizing Christian lands, turning them into Muslim lands rather hostily. And we have to pretend like, oh no, it's enough, but we can point towards slavery. When literally the last strongholds of slavery to this day are Muslims. I mean, it's not, we can look at where you actually have slaves in Middle Eastern countries that are Muslim. But we can look at also, I mean, the Taliban just legalized slavery in Afghanistan just a few weeks ago, but we have to pretend like, oh yeah, the white Christians are so bad. But
I mean, to make
Iraq last December.
I mean, hold on, Britt, let me finish.
To make your point,
I can't
if we look at
make a
the caste
statement
system,
without being interrupted.
if we look at the caste system in India, that literally includes a slave caste. But it was the colonizers that stopped the caste system being used. That's never brought up.
I loved how during the DEI trainings that the woke Google was going through, once they were going to do one on Castaway, the employees like revolted. We're not doing this. No, fuck that. And they had to scrap it.
That's because the C-suite is all Indian.
Of course, it is bullshit. We have to pretend like, oh, you guys are so superior somehow. No, bullshit.
Yeah, I think
People do them. You got, like, Indians literally practice shit that we consider absolutely barbaric. Yet we're gonna pretend like, oh, this nice, minority. And I get it. We have a brain drain where we get their smartest and brightest, often, but they're to sit here like, how can you be anti-racist but then like?
Well, yeah, you had like like down in Chichen Itza in Mexico, they have some pretty good historians on the Mayan tribe or the Mayan indigenous community. And so when you have two different people from two different backgrounds and walks of life encounter one another, there's always going to be some observation on both sides to say, that's weird, or, why do they do that? Or then you'll also have some similarities. And that was one of the things that the Spanish encountered with the Mayans. So when the Mayans would have their, we would call football games, but when they had their ball games back then, whoever won, that person would be sacrificed to the gods, because they believe that, according to their belief system, they only want to send their best up to live amongst the gods, and the loser had to stay here and be a regular Joe Schmo. The Spanish looked at that and said, well, that's not, according to the Spanish belief system with Christianity and things of that nature, they didn't see that as righteous. So that was one of the issues that they had when it came to how they dealt with one another. It was, if someone is going to take someone's life, it's going to be God. Or it has to be some reason justified by God, God from their perspective. That was one. And then another issue that they had was when it comes to, the storyline of the Bible and how Jesus was sacrificed on the cross and things of that nature. Well, when they were having deliberations with the Mayans were saying, oh, well, we got a story just like that. So when the Spanish was trying to convert the Mayans to Christianity, the Mayans was like, well,
what's the story for the Mayans?
Well, they had a god, I think it was Hanapu. That was what they called it. Huh?
I was just saying, I'm ignorant. I don't know anything about, like what you're talking about. Please tell me.
That's all sword. Doc's pretending like he doesn't know anything and playing stupid, but he actually knows what you're talking about, but he wants you to explain the story so he can call you out and say that you're wrong.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll go ahead and skip that part.
Actually, I really don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to call you out.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
I mean, I'll call you out if you want me to call you.
Are you watching the live stream or are you just screen recording? Okay.
No, I'm just being me. I'm being me. I mean, Tuna is like John Kitover. I really didn't know what he was talking about.
You have to interrupt him. Doc wanted to.
No, William.
Let him continue.
Why you gotta interrupt while he was close?
So what did the Mayans? The Mayans have a similar belief, and when they were being taught Christianity, they felt like, why should they switch? Continue.
They had a similar. It's kind of like how people who practice the Hindu religion, they may say things like, "Oh well, we got the same story. It's just our God. We have our God names." Or like in the various religions that have conceptual
actually the same story. That's basically what they experienced when the Spanish got down there, and they were kind of talking to the Mayans and trying to figure out what's what, trying to establish relationships, things of that nature. And as they tried to make their move to convert them to Christianity, the Mayans' position, they were like, well, why would we have to convert over to your religion? Here's the same story in our belief system. You know, you call that guy Jesus, well, we got this guy here. You call this guy Paul, well, we got this guy here.
I feel you.
So yeah, that was one of the issues that they had when it came to how they, you know, their relations, if you will, and it became a problem.
Another example of
Dude, that baby is gorgeous.
Corti.
Yeah, it's my nephew.
He sounds adorable. Big up man. So Takorti was a mariner for a tribe of the Maori, and when he started reading or was being converted to Christianity, he appointed himself as Jesus, founded a faith called Rigatu, and tried to disseminate that, seeing that the Bible was being used as a tool of conversion and subjugation amongst Maori. Interesting guy. He's someone not to be fucked with. When the British sent soldiers after Takorti and his men, they ate them and they sent the bones back, asking for that.
Yo, for real?
Alright, so Sword, the maze god, sometimes known as Hun Hananopu. In Mayan mythology, he was one of the twin sons of the creator god, and his death and rebirth are pretty central to the maze cycle. It just pretty much says that he dies every year then.
Correct.
Yeah, but you're talking about.
Dude, I got lost at eating people.
Yeah, but first of all, you're talking about. It was the Mayans, which were a much different group than the Aztecs that were getting slaughtered and sacrificed for the Aztec religions. Not vice versa. So. So yes, the Spanish came. The Mayans are like, yeah, we hate these assholes. These people suck. The Aztecs never put up a fight. So much for these Aztec warriors.
Wait, Pepe, what side is your mom come?
The Aztec.
Well, but aren't they Spanish when they took over the Aztec area in Mexico? You know, they became Mexicans because Spanish and Aztecs, intricacy or some kind of.
But you drunk to have a conversation too. Jesus.
I'm just trying to figure out.
You know what's really funny? I'm drunk right now. And I'm about to go to bed. But I realize you are so drunk and stupid that you need to shut your goddamn dirty drunk fucking mouth.
I'm asking questions.
No, honestly,
Pepe, it's honestly annoying just to hear his voice when he's drunk. It's the way he ends every fucking word and sentence. Yeah, it's just like.
You're going to the audience? Holy shit.
Just give me a fucking headache.
Hey, Sword and Tuna, I appreciate your submissions tonight. Thank you for allowing me the privilege of listening to you guys because
it's gonna left you.
You got Tuna's still here. I see him on my screen. Did I miss him?
Yeah, he left.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. But your submissions were pretty powerful. And Sword, I also thank you for just sharing different aspects. For me, I think that most people groups, no matter where they were from, were not always very kind. So I think that a lot of people miss out on the fact that no matter what people group, no matter what religious group, has been very harmful to not only them, but to others, whether it's their neighbor or their people. We travel, my wife and I, we've been to 54 countries. In every country, there's been atrocities from indentured slavery, regular slavery, selling, buying, just a pretty sad commentary on the human condition.
Yeah, but they only want to blame on the white man. And that's what I think is ironic, is that, like, I don't pretend like white people are perfect. Somebody brought up, like, King Leopold. Like, he was an absolutely horrible piece of shit. And look at how many European lives were lost, also while he had the reign of power. He sucks. Like, I don't know what else to say. But we're gonna pretend like these same individuals don't exist that are black. We can go through all of the African dictators. We can go through even the black dictators that exist in, like, Haiti, which is a horrible place. We're the most violent and poor country in the Western Hemisphere.
This is one of the reasons why when you and I have a conversation, I always hold back. And the reason why is because I've been to Africa. And I know the atrocity of tribal on tribal war. Even in 2020, conflicts are on that continent. Okay, it's black on black. It has nothing to do with people ethnicity. It has a lot to do with the individual people. If we could stay away from the ethnic conversation, just talk about that man themselves, each individual person responsible for their own behavior, no matter who they are. It has nothing to do with the group that they find themselves in.
Pepe, do you remember when Joseph Kony armed all the kids and men?
Hold on. Let him.
So that's one of the reasons why, I don't highlight ethnicity or groups, because you cannot go into any country without the permission of that country, right? If we believe, this is my understanding and my background, is that when Portugal, Spain, Brazil, the United Kingdom decided to go and operate in the transatlantic slave trade, there were also kings and queens that still exist today on the economics of that slave trade. Okay, there were African tribes that captured other tribes, that they actually sold them kinds of goods. And if we're going to talk about supply chains, we need to blame all supply chains. I like what Sword talked about with the Barbary pirates, the Muslims, and everyone else. I wish people would just really look at all the history. America, July 4th would be 250 years old. There's countries that's been around thousands of years. It fallen and rose and fallen and rose. Listen, we're a very young country, and for us to think that our history is like main history is just really sad to me sometimes. So, Pepe, that's why I stay away from the ethnic conversations.
I can understand that, but if I was black, I cannot think of really another. You might think of some other countries, and that's fine, but and they're probably, and if I'm just being realistic, they're going to be majority white countries.
You're pretty much.
I cannot think of any country that black people would rather live in than in the United States, and that's whether they're from sub-Saharan Africa, they're the descendants of slaves, Caribbeans, whoever. And we're such horrible people, but they are going to come to our countries.
But Pepe, think about what you just said. Why do you think that all people groups, including Black Americans, want to live in America?
The most opportunity, obviously.
That's the point. You see, Sword to understand this, because I know he has that kind of mindset. He's a critical thinker. My grandfather was born on this soil. My father was born on this soil. They both decided to love their country, but they taught that to their children. So I'm proud of those two men who did not allow the ethnic color of their skin to stop them from being proud Americans and raising decent children and grandchildren. So I don't ever look at it in the sense of, yeah, we had a horrible beginning in some cases, but we all had a lot of good things that happened in America. I was born in the North, Pepe, okay? My family did not come through the slave trade. my family came from Wales. My great grandfather was an English. Yeah, see story?
Yes, sir.
You see, that's why I can't have the conversation, Sword, because so many people don't realize being from New England, I did not have that.
Yeah, but where's your black side come from?
Okay.
You obviously didn't get melanated from the white guy.
No, we didn't get melanated from the white guy. We actually came through Wales, and whatever the people that were in the United Kingdom at the time in England and all those areas, they also participated in what they call at the time sharecroppers and people like that. So from when I went to England, that's the area we actually visited. So what I always tell people is that, okay, everyone don't have the same. It's a big thing that most people miss out on.
Wait, you don't have anybody in your family get through transatlantic child slavery? Because in the past, 500 years, 15th great or 13th great grandparents is federations. It's 262,000 grandparents is what you have.
In my genealogy, I don't.
No, it's okay. Listen,
you don't have any.
Hold on. No, stop. Could you do me a major favor, please? I know that you believe in your mind that you know other people.
But no, it's just that's a simple question. I wasn't saying
I'm not going to answer.
I was just saying out of the 250,000 people in the last 500 years, I was asking you.
Okay, no.
So all of it. When did all of your ancestors pair? And
I'm not going to give you
back all of them.
It's been for my combo too. It's okay. I know. I got it.
Yeah. So they came over during slavery 150 years ago, but
man.
That goes back to
I promise
50,000 people, and you're like, none of them are from America. None of them came from translating child slavery. You trace all of that.
You know the history. You know the history.
I was just asking you a clarifying question.
Guys, it's okay. Can I finish my conversation?
He's like, my one grandparent came from Wales.
You going to
one grandparent. Yeah, that one grandparent came from Wales, Even though the last 500 years you have 250,000 ancestors.
Do you know where those numbers come from?
Yeah, it's 4 grandparents, 16 great-grandparents, and then so on and so forth.
A quarter million slaves.
Yes, 13. No, I'm talking about 13 great-grandfathers, which is 15 generations.
I'm talking about
15 generations.
You said a quarter million slaves that came. Do you know?
No, I'm talking about 250,000 slaves. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, what you talking about?
Oh, no, I'm saying in the last, on average, about 500 years. In the last 500 years, you have, each one of us, all individually, all have 250,000 grandparents when you go back 13th great-grandparents, which is 15 generations. So if you trace back 15 generations and you look at your tree, it's you, then it's your parents, then it's your grandparents, then it's your great-grandparents, then it's your great-great-grandparents. By the time you get back to 15 generations, it's 250,000 people. Do you understand?
Correct.
And then when you go one more grandparents back, it goes to over 1 million, and then 4 million, then 16 million. Every grandparent that you go back. That's what I'm talking about. But he's talking about, my one ancestor came from Wales. That's what I was asking. There's no other intermixing in the last 150 years, since I'm guessing, since they were sharecroppers in England, and they were slaves. If they came over from England, which I think it was 1830s or something, slavery was abolished in the UK. So we're talking almost 200 years. In the last 200 years, nobody mixed with anybody from the Americas. Is that what he's saying?
Nah,
if he's saying that,
I don't think that's what
if he's saying that, if there's no other black people mixed in there, so that one black person that may have mixed, that was living in New York, let's say, that person who didn't come from Wales, and they did actually come from the South, or they were slaves up the Northeast, would have been slaves. That was my point. And unless he's like, yeah, my grandparents moved here.
But there was a ruling class of black people in Europe as well, though.
Yeah, no, I wasn't making that point. I was asking, my clarifying question was...
When you say where does the black side come from, if Wales had black royalty, then why would you ask that question?
Did you not hear me when he said that one ancestor that he's talking about that came from Wales?
Correct. Then you asked him where the black side comes from.
There's 249,000.
There was black royal
There's
class in
200.
Wales.
Yeah, I know. There's 249,000. Okay, so you're saying that all of his ancestors who were in Wales, all the way back through 15 generations, all of them were royalties in Wales. That was my question.
No, what I'm saying, the answer to your question, when you asked him, where does his black side come from? There was a black royal class in Wales.
Somebody like Wallace will come up on stage and say, I'm Scottish because my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather came from Scotland. Okay, but that's not the entire fucking story. There's 200.
So what question would you ask him then?
999. My question was, like, where did all the blacks come from? Are they all from Wales? Are they all royalty? Were they all
You gotta
families been here for 170
years. You gotta add your question to the mix.
Black royalties.
The relevancy of it is your question.
They didn't mix with all fucking black royals from fucking Wales. That was my point. If his family's been, trying to get clarification.
That wasn't your question, though.
No, the question was, where did the black part come from? If he's saying that
we're back to square one.
Were they royalty? Were they slaves? How long have they been here? 170 years or 200 years? Or have they been here? Did his fucking grandparents move from Wales? If his grandparents moved from Wales, it lowers the likelihood that his family is intermixed with African Americans. And if they're intermixed with African Americans, if they're FBA, then they were probably slaves in America.
You're right. You're right. My bad. I apologize. Something's wrong with my
But this is stupid. Like Brad will be like, I'm Irish. Okay. Well, that's just one part of the fucking picture. That's just your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather who came from Ireland. There's 249,000.
Why would you ask him?
This is the problem people don't understand about family trees and genealogy.
Okay.
You have another 249,999 people that you're not accounting for. So somebody.
But you're not accounting for the question you asked.
I'm English and I'm French and I'm German.
Why you keep looking and you're not accounting for the question you asked him?
Oh my God! I was just simply asking the man.
15 generations is a quarter.
Yeah, 15 generations, $250,000,000. Yeah. Look at
He's not accounting for the question. If Fred said, I got Irish ancestry, and then you turn around and ask Brad, where's your white side come from? You gotta consider your question you asked.
Oh my God! It increases by a factor of 4 Wallace every year.
Wait,
I'm only what is it? Second generation American. Like my grandparents sailed over.
Yeah, and he was talking about that they were sharecroppers or something.
So Brad, if he asked you, where does your white side come from? What would that mean to you?
My white side? Shit.
Yeah, it encompasses like all of fucking Europe is what it does.
No, it doesn't. That's wrong.
Yes, it does.
Because you just admitted.
Unless he's like fucking Conan O'Brien and he's 99.8% fucking Irish or something, and he's like, that just means you're inbred.
No, 1 second. Matt or Sword, could you guys please help me learn how to use the block button on the house?
Oh, see, you gonna block 100,000 accounts, Edward?
No. I'm gonna block you.
Yeah, I have 100,000 accounts. Good luck.
No, I'm gonna just block you.
It doesn't matter if you block me, you're not a moderator, firstly. And I have 100,000 accounts.
I'm still gonna block you.
I will troll the fucking shit out of you for that one.
You can do whatever you like, man. Because you don't have a life.
Yeah.
Hey, Shub, if you read what Richard Hacklewood said about the Welsh, you will realize what you're saying right now ain't lining up with someone who was living there in the 1500s. And his name again is Richard Hacklewood.
On that Welsh bit, I came in on that. If someone's claiming to be royalty
Edward, Sword said he might be.
Oh, we definitely weren't. I don't come from any royalty that I know of.
Sword said that Edward the black guy might be.
Farmers, and then we were warriors. Obviously we have a history of fighting. But I mean, shit.
Hold on, everyone wants to break down history, Viking guy.
The only royals from Wales since about the 1100s has been the Prince and Princess of Wales. Before then, it was a bunch of clans. But yes, and also warriors. My mother's family does trace this line down to chieftains in Wales and also to aristocrats in England. But as far as I know, I can't tell you any record of any Black people in Wales. That's there have been a few Black people who've married into some of the aristocratic families. The royal family, which includes the Prince and Princess of Wales, is pretty fucking white.
Hello, Kitover.
Well, I think you just answered.
Meghan Markle is really the darkest who has ever married into the royal family, and she's not exactly considered royal. She's really the darkest that has ever gotten a prince whose brother is the Prince of Wales.
Yeah, speaking of darkness, during the Irish famine, it was Haiti that shipped boatloads of rice over there. That's why there's a close connection between Ireland and Haiti. Yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there.
Thanks, John.
During the Irish famine?
Yeah, you can go look it up yourself. Don't listen to me.
No, the British, the reason that there were so many...
Haiti never sent our rice over during the famine. It came from the Middle East. It came from... I don't have to. I know the history.
No,
it doesn't have
it. You didn't even go to college.
Yeah, neither did you, apparently. Haiti never sent anything over. They were a colony at the time, and they were slaves.
Chat if you Google it and check this out.
No, there's no graduated from the Citadel. Thank you very much.
Put a one in the chat if you look.
Does Kitover really warrant any kind of belief here? I mean,
the British really had laws against fishing even in the own Irish seas, which is why you had a huge amount come up during the potato famine, because the potatoes were really of their own small people. They actually weren't allowed to even fish in their own seas off the coast of Ireland by the British Navy. They would be killed, or their houses would be turned to rubble. I highly doubt any imports of rice.
no, the Choctaw Nation actually sent things. They sent money. They sent $170 after the Trail of Tears to Ireland. They helped with that. Haiti did not. Haiti was in their midst of the revolution trying to fight, so they definitely did.
Kill them all, the women and children.
And then the Middle East, there was a sultan who sent an entire envoy full of food grains, but England seized those and then kept it and transported it to England. There was food in Ireland. We weren't starving because we couldn't grow shit. England and soldiers were just taking all of the food and left all the rotten potatoes.
You're entitled to your own opinion, but you cannot be entitled to your own
facts.
And that's why I love it.
You are correct. I believe there was an Ottoman sultan who did actually send things to Ireland. His gifts were confiscated by the British because there was nothing allowed.
Haiti saved your asses. Alright? Look him up.
Haiti is
I know you don't want to speak
as lovely as an island. As lovely as an island did not send
It's a hard pill to swallow, but Haiti saved your ass. Go look it up. Why are you so afraid to look it up?
I actually just did look it up just because I wanted to be sure, because there was no way. Yeah, it did. There's no evidence that Haiti sent rice over. Haiti didn't send shit anywhere. You're just retarded and you're just saying shit to be a troll. Like, listen, Kitover, with your fake voice and your 20 phones sitting in your Fruit of Loop underwear. Like, dude, I could swallow.
What year did they send rice? What year are you talking about?
During the Irish famine. Go look up when.
What years were the Irish famine?
Well, you're Irish. You should know.
Tell me what years.
You said you looked it up. You would know what period you looked up.
They didn't send shit, so tell me what year.
What period did you look up?
Fucking A. Jesus Christ.
I got you.
I can't, like, dude, like, I mean, there's some stupid people on here, but these guys that sound like fucking squeezing their balls and sound like Elmo.
It was the Irish famine.
I think approximately mid-1700s.
Nah, let him answer it, Bruno.
You looked it up.
Mid to late 1800s, in which
You don't even know.
We were trying to get him to say the numbers because he doesn't know. He just throws shit out there. This is some fucking. This is John Kitover who records and streams rooms and thinks he's funny and just makes like fucking dumb comments all the time and tries to pretend he's transgender. But he might actually be. I don't know.
You don't know when the famine was. I just looked. You said you looked it up.
No, I didn't look it up, but it's
liar. You say you lied.
It's the majority of the late 1800s. Was the majority of, I think, when the Irish came to.
It was fucking 10 years. It was 1845 to 1855, you dipshit. You still don't even know when, not you, Meg, but this fucking twat. Doesn't know fucking shit.
Really?
Every Irish American knows it. Celebrate. Well, you know what? Here's a funny thing, Sword. Ireland, if you want to mute the fucking wannabe transgender, when the Choctaw Nation sent this money, during COVID, they didn't forget this stat. So during the COVID pandemic, when everything was shut down, fucking the Choctaw Nation, those that remained, were suffering really dire. They actually had like really hard economic ties. They didn't have like a lot of medicine because the reservations were forgotten about by the entire rest of the U.S. They didn't have supplies. So Ireland fulfilled its debt and sent millions of dollars to the Choctaw Nation and said, thank you for upon a time when our sons and daughters were suffering, you ponied up. We are suffering, but we will not forget your debt. And they paid that debt to the Choctaw Nation. And they did that in 2020.
Brad, that is super cool. I did not know that. That's really cool. That's classy.
I even gave from here because when they asked, a lot of us Irish Americans gave money and said, hey, we will not forget that debt. So I kind of one of those badges of honors, you know. Kind of.
Right. Much respect, man. Much respect.
So during the 1800s, Haiti was at its peak and it kicked the French the fuck out and had a lot of money, resources, and assets.
But y'all don't talk about like
and they shipped rice.
When Haiti got their revolution, nobody ever talks about the people that came from the mainland, both white and black, that went down there and helped them out. Why y'all don't ever tell that story?
Or then also white people also lived in Haiti and carried some of those names, and that they had trade routes with Cuba and New Orleans. But they don't deserve to know that side of the story. But what happened to the second famine in the 1840s, the potato famine?
Yeah, potato famine.
So we had to send potatoes over.
Hey, Brad, that's the reason why Lonzo don't like me. Because I tell him his own history, like, bro,
but that's common knowledge. But Sword, John James Audubon, he came to Louisiana. We have a nature institute. We have a fucking zoo. I'm not cursing at you. It's just the shit irritates me when people do that. We got a zoo, aquarium, insectarium, a nature, a park, a nice ass little park in a nice side of town named after this man. Like, he was in love with Louisiana fauna and flora. He has all type of portraits of us. A white dude from Haiti, born in Haiti.
Yep. Haiti was beautiful. Like, there was a guy, John Franciscus. His brother was in Planet of the Apes, that movie. And he was a big-time real estate developer and seller down to the Caribbean. And he loved Haiti. Haiti was his home to him. He said he favored himself as like Hemingway living amongst the Caribbean, and he loved Haiti nonstop. Wrote a book about Haiti. It was like how beautiful and how much it could bring, how much money and tourism and how great the people were. And it truly was. The woodworking done in Haiti was really fantastic when we went there. Like,
how do you when you go to Ireland, and you go into the halls of power, there are testaments to what I'm saying, that the Irish people are forever grateful to Haiti for shipping rice. Type that in your Google
They never shipped rice during the famine.
Yeah, type that.
Jesus Christ. But your name is stupid, so maybe I'm wrong.
Triggered.
Pun intended.
Triggered.
Retarded people. You know, you gotta, medication in this country, man. We gotta get people back on meds and bring back asylums.
Ireland said they're forever grateful to Haiti. Go look it up.
You gotta get you Christians back to doing exorcisms, man. We gotta get you guys back.
Type it in your browser. You're not busy. You're in Clubhouse. Ireland states we are forever grateful to Haiti for the shipments of rice that they sent during our famine.
Said no one ever. There's no history. Put the link. Thought so.
If Haiti even hadn't been in that position, it would have been confiscated by the British ships before it even reached shore. So they would just absorb it into their
Correct.
lives.
And then, once you post the famine, you still had, like, quote, the troubles arising, even though that's not the period of time that the troubles were. You still had, you couldn't wear yellow, because that was, like, a form of it. We couldn't wear certain clothing colors. Our true color was actually blue, but that got forbidden, so it went to green. Ireland has just been dicked around by England, which is why, like, you'll hear me go off on English people, like, sometimes really hard.
Oh yeah, no, that's nothing new. The Irish have a pretty sworn hatred of the English and pretty good reason why.
Oh, I put it in the chat for that fucking retard.
The best part was in World War II when England was asking for help from Ireland, and Ireland was like, no, we're going to stay neutral in it. And then they were cheering the fucking Germans on. They were bombing England. They were like rooting for them.
Well, see, one of my, I'm a part of a history group, and to your point, Brad, one of my friends, actually out of Houston, one of the best researchers and historians that I've ever come across, Oliver Cromwell, is actually in his genealogy. One of Oliver Cromwell's daughters is like his 13th grandmother or some shit like that, you know. So he has a bloodline that goes into England, if you will. He has another bloodline that goes into Wales. So a lot of the research and the approach that I take is kind of like how the world sees things. The world sees, you know, families and bloodlines and stuff like that. So that's kind of the approach that I've learned to take when it comes to learning history.
That's fucking wild and awesome. That's really cool. Like, you and Marshall would be like a drunk night together would be hysterical listening to you guys all. Like, it would be actually epic. I would actually pay to attend it. I would buy the booze and the food. So you guys were fat, drunk, and then just started going on about history.
Well, see, the thing is, you know, and we Marshall and I have been chatting in the back channel, but like they have, you know, because they went to college and they've kind of went through the formal process of understanding the law versus me just raw independent studies trying to figure this thing out. You know, I have more, for people like Abby, Marshall, and stuff like that, I have more like operational questions. So if you kind of remember some of the questions that I was asking earlier, like what happens after the hearing, you know, those are more operational things that, you know, I can just ask somebody rather than investing all the time. You know, eventually I'll get to it and learn it, but, you know, there's a lot that I don't know operationally, but I try to merge history with the law. Because some things, you know, that I believe I was told in school, some of this shit just don't make sense to me. So I decided, you know, that I'll go back and read it on my own to see what I find. If it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. And I need to go figure out what actually happened. So when we were talking about slavery earlier, even the concept
of the practice of slavery changed from the Roman times to, the British times. So, it was just, when we talk about slavery today, it's the context and how slavery was performed and the motive and the reasons why. It changes over time, and it changes depending upon the nation. It's just not one blanket story to say, slavery. It's like, there's a little bit more nuance to it than just, how some of my people kind of characterize it.
Yeah, I understand that, and it's so, like, slavery in the U.S. is so complicated because you have so much fiction that is tossed into it, like, and I'm not taking away any heroes, but people will often, Harriet Tubman is a prime case in point for me. We had a discussion, and then not only that, we ended up having to back the proof was to say, hey, we had to pull from the Congressional Archives, like the Library of fucking Congress. We were pulling books because I still carry a subscription to it. So we were downloading documents from there. Here's the records. Here's all the books on it. Tubman had to sue for a pension after the war. She wasn't as a spy. She did it voluntarily, and she did movements. History leaves off a lot of the men that were kind of like with her, especially her husband, who like was really much a instrumental source to be able to go back and forth. But when people are like, oh, he was paid by the federal government to go ahead and do this, she didn't. She had to sue to get like a small fucking pension after the Civil War, and we had to break that down for people because they just didn't understand how it worked back then. It just it was a different time and culture, and I really hate Hollywood and like stupid movies like Gone with the Wind for creating this perception of what life was like and all of these like fanciful romantic and issues that just really weren't true.
So during COVID, I got like really fucking bored when we were laid off, and I did the whole ancestry tree. We talked about Oliver Cromwell. So mine is Edward Boone, which is the brother Daniel Boone, Rebecca Powhatan Montauk Pocahontas through what's his name? Fucking the guy that kidnapped her. No, it wasn't. His name wasn't Smith. No, he's the guy that kidnapped her when she was 12, took her to England, and she got pregnant, and then he brought her back to the Americas. Then John Rolfe, John Rolfe and Thomas Rolfe, yeah. So Thomas, his son Thomas Rolfe is one of my ancestors. Also King James IV, Iron Belt of the House of Thistle. But there's like a couple million people that are related to King James IV. Same thing with like Pocahontas. There's like 100,000 people that are related to her in the United States and England. Through Thomas Rolfe.
Was James IV out of Scotland or James IV out of England?
Scotland, the Iron Belt of Thistle, yeah. And not the one that compiled the Bible. And then the other one was Sir Francis Drake's brother, Thomas Drake, which led the Spanish Armada out into the ocean and then destroyed their ships after they got like knocked down by the sea. Because I seen like Thomas Drake, and I'm like, that sounds like. I started looking him up, and then I realized I was like, oh shit, that's Sir Francis Drake's brother, and they were like merchants and stuff.
I didn't think you heard me. Did they have any?
There's a couple million of them that were slave trading there. There's a couple million people in the United States, also in like all around Europe that are actually related to them. So it's not like it's the sole descendant.
Nah, yeah. Nah, that's what's up, man.
If you go to look up on YouTube, Sir Francis Drake, and you like look at a documentary about his life, there's like thousands of people in the chat that are like, I'm fucking related to him or his brother. And we're all like, oh shit, we're all related to him.
Well, see, I love like hearing people, do their genealogy, family tree, whatever you want to call it, because you find some interesting things, and you never know where it's going to take you. History is history. Whatever happened is whatever happened. But, the one thing I try to get my people to do is like, man, fuck it. Just go do your family tree. Go figure out, you got history, but then you got your story. Your story is like the small fingerprint that's within this big ass spider web of history. But you know what's most important is, you know, you being able to tell your story, because everybody knows exactly where their